entertained! Isn't that why you were here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
It's Friday night and the feeling's right. Welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. And thank you for joining me once again on this glorious, moist, sultry Friday night. And I'd rather not be anywhere than right here, right now, talking movies with all of you. And I hope you feel the same. But also, most importantly, I hope you have a big bucket of salty popcorn ready and something cold and delicious to drink throughout this live stream, because it's going to be a very, very sultry night. Why do I keep saying sultry? I don't know. It's a rainy day and it feels sultry to me. Don't ask questions. But without further ado, the main topics of this live show I want to talk about before we dive into your questions. And if you have any movie topics, questions, concerns, whatever you want to say, get it in the comments right now, and we will dive into every single question, or at least most of them that you guys ask. But some of the topics I want to dive into today are, I want to talk about the brand new John Wick spinoff movie, The Ballerina, which I saw last night and posted a review of a few hours ago. And then I want to talk about the budget of the upcoming Superman movie and how that might just possibly be the most expensive movie ever made. And speaking of expensive, I have this overpriced officially licensed Superman shirt I bought, and it feels so paper thin. I feel like as soon as I wash this once, it's just going to disintegrate in the washing machine, and it's just going to be a rag of sorts. Anyway, then the other thing I want to talk about is the $80 Galactus popcorn bucket from the upcoming movie Fantastic Four. And I'm probably going to buy it, but I want to talk about it with you guys. And then I want to cover the brand new live action remake adaptation, blah, 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 of How to Train Your Dragon. I did see this movie at an early screening a few days ago. And then on a much different tone of movie compared to a big CGI DreamWorks remake, I want to talk about a very different movie, and that is Life of Chuck, which I did see last week as well. So those are the main topics we're going to cover today. So if you guys have anything to chime in or talk or tell me about anything we're going to cover, just get it in. Blah, blah, blah. You guys know how this goes. And how are you guys doing? I missed you guys. It's been a week, but we're back. And this is definitely my most enjoyable thing I get to do on YouTube. We just get to hang out and talk about movies. And I don't even have to wear pants for this conversation. So, all right, let's dive into it here. And the first main topic we're going to talk about is the brand new John Wick movie. Here's my review I shot last night in the theater. And who's that guy? How I don't get kicked out of the theater within the first 5 minutes of yelling about movies, I'll never know. But if you haven't watched my review yet, please go give it a like over on the Flickpick channel, my main channel. The link is down below. But I'll just show it here in the background as I talk about the movie. As far as this goes, I did not have high expectations for a spin-off movie in the John Wick universe at all. And when it comes to the John Wick movies, I like them. I like the first one quite a bit. I liked the fourth one way more than I liked the second or third installment in that John Wick franchise. And I love me some Keanu. But I will say this. Watching him in this newest installment, and keep in mind, he's in the movie for like probably 12 minutes. And he's simply there to help justify calling this a John Wick movie and to help sort of sell the movie. And maybe in a future installment, the franchise won't need him, the Ballerina franchise. But part of me thinks it's always going to need Keanu in the trailers to some degree to help market this movie. And I'm curious to see how well this does at the box office. But as far as the movie goes, Ana de Armas, hey, she's easy to look at. And I had some reservations with her being cast in this movie. I like her as an actress. And keep in mind, she learned to speak English when filming the movie War Dogs back in 2016. Before that, she didn't speak a lick of English. But I actually liked her in this role. And the biggest complaint I've heard from people who have not seen the movie is, well, I don't buy this 90-pound supermodel kicking everyone's ass. And hey, I'm right there with you. But the great thing about this film is, yeah, at times she does kick some ass, and maybe you have to suspend your disbelief. but she's always getting her ass kicked. And she needs a lot of help throughout this movie. She's not just a super-powered Mary Sue, if you will. She's not Rey from The Force Awakens. She can't just do backflips over a spaceship or whatever. She does get her ass kicked a lot in this movie, and I liked that. I appreciated little details like that, and she does need a lot of help. But keep in mind, this is her origin story. She's not going to be perfect at everything. She's not the most skilled assassin. Nah, she's still learning. But the one little minute detail, I wouldn't even say minute, the one thing that they give her character when it comes to her fighting style is she utilizes the environment a lot more than, say, John Wick does. Anything that she can get a hold of, she uses it to her advantage because, keep in mind, she weighs like 93 pounds and she's 5'2". So I like that the movie justified things like that. And as far as an action movie goes, there's like 4 or 5 cool action sequences that justify this movie's existence. Now, the story's the same old shit you've already heard in every other John Wick action movie. Someone killed her father, boo-hoo, get over it, okay? They didn't kill your dog, life will go on, okay? John Wick justified why he needs vengeance. Your dad, it's just your dad, okay? They killed his dog. But anyway, I'm just kidding. The story is serviceable at best, but there's some cool action scenes involving grenades, flamethrowers, and what have you. Don't ask why I have a clip of Mr. Freeze in my review. You'll just have to go watch it. But the last thing I wanted to mention about Ballerina, and more specifically my YouTube movie reviews, as you can see, I'm not sitting in a chair. I'm not doing a whole bunch of cuts. I just went into an empty theater after the movie was over and crapped out my thoughts. Now, that's sort of hard to do. It really is. And when I'm watching the movie in the theater, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to say in a review and try to do it in one take and get all these thoughts out and be witty and entertaining and charismatic and all that other stuff that comes with talking about stuff on YouTube. And shooting this in one take, or sometimes multiple takes, I wouldn't say it's easier than just sitting down talking about the movie where you can just say the same thing 10 times in 5 different variations to get it just right and then edit and tweak it. But I like sort of being off the cuff. That's what I like about doing live shows. So the same thing, I feel like I have the same feeling towards movie reviews. I'd rather be forced to just say what I think without having the option to correct everything. I just think it's more authentic. And maybe it's not as articulate sometimes because I am just crapping this out at 11 o'clock in an empty auditorium in the movie theater, and hopefully no one comes in and looks at me like I'm crazy as my wife holds a camera with a microphone and lights on it and I look like an insane man screaming about ballerinas. But if you like that style of movie reviews, let me know down below. For me, they're just more fun to make. They're sort of vloggy, and you get one take, and I just like talking about things, especially movies, in the movie theater. It just feels appropriate. It's like, I just watched this movie, here's my real thoughts on the movie, before I get to go home, and I read Reddit forums, and I let other people dictate my opinions, and then, some other people get on Rotten Tomatoes and copy and paste everything everyone else says. I don't like to do those things. I like it to be unadulterated and visceral. So those are my thoughts on the Ballerina movie. Let me know what you thought about it down below. Now, the next main topic I want to talk about on this glorious live stream tonight is we have to talk about the upcoming movie, Fantastic Four, but most importantly, we have to talk about the Fantastic Four Galactus popcorn bucket. Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? Now, this bad boy cost $80. Did you hear what I said? This is a popcorn bucket. Keep in mind, it's a container that holds popcorn. That's it. Now, at a price point of $80, this Galactus popcorn bucket, that mouth better open and have suctioning power, and then when I'm done, Galactus better look up at me and make eye contact and say, thank you. Come again. But with all of that said, I'm fairly certain it doesn't do that, though it should. I think there's definitely a market out there for it, and you know who you are. But I will probably buy this $80 popcorn bucket with magenta handlebars on it. And that's the beauty about it. If the mouth does open up, Galactus already has handlebars for your popcorn eating pleasure. So, are you guys going to pick up the Galactus popcorn bucket for Fantastic Four? Now, my thing here, I understand that AMC is a corporation. And with the newest announcement that they just came out with of how they're going to start injecting more ads before the movie plays, which is just, for me, a blatant slap in the face of the consumer. It's like, we're already paying overpriced movie tickets. We're buying your overpriced popcorn. Now I'm going to buy your overpriced Galactus popcorn bucket. But the fact they're now interjecting more ads before the movie plays, and these aren't movies. These aren't movie trailers. These are going to be ads for life insurance or cars or whatever. They're not going to be ads you want to watch in a theater environment. But here they are as a corporation trying to gouge the consumers as much as they can. And rather than make the theater experience better and give you more comfortable seats, cheaper concessions, I don't know, maybe having someone coming to the auditorium every 10 minutes to make sure no one's screaming and texting on their phone and there's no crying babies. No. Rather than enhance the theater going experience, they're just going to make your ass watch more ads before the movie starts. So, and that's my biggest problem with movies these days. And we'll get back to the Galactus popcorn bucket in just 1 second. But now I feel like I went down a path I can't turn away from. Once you enter the void, there's no such thing as going back. Whenever a movie says it's going to start at 4:30, you can pretty much bet that it's going to start at 5 o'clock. And typically, whenever a movie starts at my local Regal theater, if it starts at 5 o'clock, I know I can get in my car at 4:45, make the 10-minute drive, and still have time to get in there, sit down, relax, and still see some movie trailers before the movie starts. It's utter insanity. And the fact that they're going to put more ads in front of movies and just keep pushing back the start time of every film you go to see in the cinema, to me, that is the worst thing you can possibly do to a human being. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? But back to the Galactus popcorn bucket as I ramble on. I'm going to buy this. I have to buy it because I think it'll look kind of cool on the shelf. Or actually, you know what? Maybe it won't look cool on the shelf. I don't know. It's a big magenta head, but I want it. Don't ask why. And the thing is, I know they're gouging consumers with this popcorn bucket being $80 because they know it's a collectible comic book popcorn bucket and they know nerds will pay top dollar to have this shit. And then in 3 weeks, we put it in a closet and it collects dust for the rest of eternity. Or scalpers come and buy a whole bunch of them and throw them on eBay. But what have you. So what do you guys think about this new Galactus popcorn bucket? I kind of like it. I think it looks kind of cool. And by the way, Paul says, everyone like the video. Yeah, if you want to give the video a like, it does help. You just click the button. That's all I'm asking. All right. John, have you seen the movie Heat? Yes, I've talked about it probably 197 times throughout the years on YouTube. All right. Let's go to the next topic here. And the next topic we have to talk about is a little movie, and the shirt might be a dead giveaway, the upcoming Superman movie, which is sort of the most controversial topic when it comes to the movie side of the internet. A lot of people hate this movie. A lot of people treat it like it's a religion. For me, I'm just hoping it's a good time at the cinema. Give me a good live-action adaptation of Superman that's slightly competent, entertaining, and makes me excited for the upcoming James Gunn DC universe, and I'll be a satisfied customer, okay? Now, I do think there are some issues, all right? I'm not saying that the trailers for this movie look perfect, but I'm hoping that we get a competent Superman movie. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about this potentially being the most expensive movie ever made when you factor in marketing costs. Now, this report comes from comicbookmovie.com. So Superman's budget could soar as high as $400 million thanks to unprecedented marketing campaign. And I would believe every word of that, because when it comes to the marketing of this movie, I don't think I've seen any movie marketed more with more trailers, more character posters. Just hearing about this movie, every twist and turn and on every dark crevice of the internet than the upcoming Superman movie. But oddly enough, for all the money that they're spending on marketing, the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, every time you do a trailer reaction for this movie, the studio cannot wait to send you a copyright claim to take down your video and demonetize it. It's like, here's some free marketing from fans of the movie. No, we don't want that shit. We want to pay for character posters that no one would ever put on their wall. Like Guy Gardner's Special Jack bowl haircut. Yeah, I'm talking to you. But that's besides the point. So anyway, the big report here is James Gunn has denied this claim. But the thing is, this is an official document that was submitted to the Ohio Film Department for some tax incentives for the film. And they listed the budget at $363 million. Now, at the end of the day, does any of this actually matter what the budget of the movie is? No. We're all just poor people going to watch a movie that costs hundreds of millions of dollars, starring people who are millionaires, made by millionaires, and released by studio execs who are millionaires. So ultimately, we're going to be poor at the end of the day, but I like talking about it. But anyway, James Gunn denied this claim, but I think the movie does cost $400 million. How could it not, especially with all the marketing that's going into it? And the biggest thing about this potential most expensive movie ever made being $400 million, to justify its existence, to make its money back, the rule of thumb is most movies need to make 3 times their budget back to be profitable. So that means this movie needs to make $1.2 billion. Did you hear what I just said? $1.2 billion. This ultimately has to be one of the top 5 grossing films of all time to be profitable. But I understand why DC is throwing so much money at this movie, because this is the launching pad of the upcoming DC universe. If this movie fails, well, don't count on a new upcoming solo Batman movie, Green Lantern movies, what have you. Don't count on any of that because they'll backtrack and go a different direction. So a lot hinges on the success of this new Superman movie. And that to me is the most interesting thing about the movie. To me, it's like, let's sit back and see how well this movie performs, because the entire fate of, I think, Warner Brothers and DC rest in the hands of Superman. So if hope was ever needed, it's with Warner Brothers hopefully making a profit with their Superman movie. And I hope it does well, because, hey, I'm much more of a Batman fan than I will probably ever be of a Superman fan. So I do want some upcoming solo Batman movies, and I want that universe to thrive and exist. So I hope it does well as a movie fan, but hopefully the movie's good. What do you guys think? Do you think Superman's going to turn a profit? If I was a betting man, and I am, I would say the movie's going to make its money. I think everyone would be interested enough. If you like comic book movies, how could you not see the new Superman movie? But most importantly, don't forget all the merchandise, all the toys, and all that other crap that goes into it. So I think the movie's going to be just fine at the box office, but man, if I was the exec at Warner Brothers, I would be scared. All right. Let's go to the next main topic here. And by the way, I quickly just wanted to go through some of these quick character posters. Just look, some of these are just, who would ever put these on a wall? All right. So keep in mind, I have a degree in graphic design, and part of me feels like the only reason they put out all these character posters was to, I guess, make some people slightly familiar with some of these faces. That way, rather than tell you who they are in the movie, or give you a backstory on the characters, or get you familiar that way, they're like, no, we put out a poster. Didn't you see it? That's who that guy is. Like right here, Jimmy Olsen has a poster. Who the fuck would ever want a poster of Jimmy Olsen on their wall? Yeah, I'll rip that up and use it as toilet paper. There's that. Here's this. Here's some guy. I don't know. So anyway, everyone has a character poster in the upcoming Superman movie. All right, let's go to the next topic here, and we will dive into the questions, so just hang on tight. The next thing I want to talk about very quickly here is I saw the brand new live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon the other day, and here I am with my wife in the cinema. She was able to get a free shirt. They only had size small, which, it's fine. I guess as a guy in his 30s, I don't necessarily need a How to Train Your Dragon t-shirt, though I did want one for free. But yeah, so here we are in the theater, getting ready to watch the movie. And here's my quick little review of How to Train Your Dragon I posted on the X. I said, How to Train Your Dragon might be the most faithful adaptation I've ever seen. It's nearly shot for shot, just with a longer runtime, about 20 minutes more than the original. A few minor changes work better in live action, but I'd still much rather watch the original movie. And really, when it comes to live action adaptations, no matter how good they are, has there ever been one where if you just had to pick only one of them to exist, would you ever pick the remake over the original? For me, I can't really say I would. Outside of the live action Jungle Book movie, directed by Jon Favreau, back in 2016, I actually think I prefer that over the original animated Jungle Book. I know, but I think I like the live action a little bit more. And that's the only one that I can think of that comes to mind. So as far as this live action adaptation goes, it's fine. I think if you're a hardcore fan of the original animated movie, it doesn't change anything. It's not insulting. You'll probably have a good time because, once again, it is shot for shot of the animation. But the difference here, the biggest takeaway I would say, and the reason I think I prefer the original animated movie is that original animated movie, at least the cartoon characters have more charisma. At least they're more charismatic. And I think that's a bit more entertaining for the story that this movie has to offer. And keep in mind, the live action is 20 minutes longer, but it's the exact same story. So when you think about it that way, you're basically just adding 20 minutes of padded runtime and nothing new with the story to the live action adaptation. So it sort of does bog it down a little bit. And I think the animated version just gives you everything you want to see in a shorter amount of time and makes it more entertaining, especially for kids. Because I thought there were a few moments in this live action one that kind of got a little bit boring. But I will say, you have Gerard Butler coming back as Chief Stoic. So what more could you ask? Because he was the voice actor of Chief Stoic in the original. I thought the new guy that they had playing Hiccup, he has that Jay Baruchel vibe of the character, but he doesn't have the annoying voice, which, don't get me wrong, I think worked for the animated version. But he embodies sort of the same traits and characteristics that Hiccup had, without, once again, the annoying voice. And I was happy that the new actor didn't just try to do sort of a Jay Baruchel voice impression. I think that would have cheapened the movie. You have a new... what's the girl's name? Whatever her name is. She looks different. I get it. But I think the main romantic love interest in the animated movie wasn't all that interesting of a character anyway. So I thought the new girl was fine in it. And I think some of the live action sequences, when they're flying around on the dragon and you have more of the Viking lore, I think visually speaking looked more interesting in live action because there's just more details and it's a little bit more immersive. But outside of that, the biggest question you have to ask yourself, with all that said, does this movie need to exist? And I would say the only reason that this movie does exist is, one, maybe it's a cash grab. Why not take a concept that worked 15 years ago, copy and paste it into live action, and make more money from a new generation or even a past generation of hardcore fans who like the original? Hey, I get it. It's easy money. But also, on top of that, keep in mind, Epic Universe just opened down in Orlando, and they have a How to Train Your Dragon land at Epic Universe. So for me, I don't think this movie coming out the same month that Epic Universe opens is any coincidence whatsoever. I truly believe this was let's turn that down. I truly believe this movie was a tie-in to sort of re-spark interest in the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. That way, the new How to Train Your Dragon Land down at Epic Universe is successful. So those are my thoughts on it. But once again, it's not a movie I hate. I just don't think it needs to exist. The best way I can describe the live action How to Train Your Dragon is if you were to take the screenplay of the original animated movie, copy and paste it into ChatGPT, and say, hey, give me a live action version of this. This is the movie that it would give you. And in 25 years, that technology will probably exist, which is terrifying, that our Skynet will win and all the nuclear warheads will be set off and will be eviscerated, which, hey, I'd rather have that than taking away all art and artistic ability and creating something original. So anyway, those are my thoughts on How to Train. Just talking about it makes me tired. Let's go to the next topic. And the last topic I want to talk about tonight, before we dive into all the glorious questions, and we are getting there, I promise you. Logan X says, those posters are giving me CW vibes. Yeah, they definitely give me CW vibes too. Some of the character posters, it's just like, why did you even do this? Daniel Phillips says, 3C Film says hi. Well, tell him I said hi too. I think he went live right before I did, and we were texting about a few things before we both went live, so there's that. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about here, and we will dive into the questions. So get your questions ready, submit them right now. I'm gonna answer every single one of them. I want to talk about the brand new movie, The Life of Chuck. So this is my quick review I put on X. The Life of Chuck was a surreal, quirky movie with mixed genres about life and mortality. I enjoyed the narration, looking back on past events, and various character monologues throughout. And some of them really did stick with me. There's one monologue. I always say his name wrong. Even if I say it right, I say it wrong. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I always say his name wrong. Chiwetel. Anyway, he gives a great monologue about time and the concept of time and how throughout the history of humanity, where we fall at on the timeline, and we are just one second away from midnight. That's where we are on the timeline of all existence. But anyway, the movie split into 3 tonally different chapters. The first one is probably the most interesting to me because it was so surreal and bizarre. And keep in mind, this is a movie about a man who's dying of cancer, and he's a mild-mannered accountant, and the movie is told in reverse order. So you sort of start at chapter 3 and you work your way back. And there's also a subplot of how he wanted to be a dancer. And at one point, and keep in mind, I never read the Stephen King short story that this is based on, so I didn't know a lot about it. But there's one point in the movie where it shows a younger version of the character, Chuck, and he's really into dancing and stage acting. And I thought for a second it was going to go a different direction than it was. I thought it was going to go. But I'm happy with the direction it ended up going. But it's a great movie. It's a great character piece. And we don't get enough movies like this. It's very subdued, and I enjoyed it. It's a little surreal, and maybe it's not for everyone. But I had a good time with it. Now, if you're really looking forward to Tom Hiddleston in the movie, I wouldn't get too excited. He's sort of in the movie for like 20 minutes. So there's that. But hey, I had a good time with it. It's directed by Mike Flanagan. And if you think it's going to be like a horror film, it's definitely not that. It's sort of just a surreal, I guess, character study about one man's life. You know, that's the best way I can describe the movie. So those are my thoughts on Life of Chuck. I had a good time watching it. So with all that said, let's dive into your magical and mystical questions. And here we go. The first one comes from Bryce Tiffany. How's it going, Bryce Tiffany? Opinions on Nathan Fielder. He's a comedic and creative genius. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch in order Nathan For You, Rehearsal, Season 1, Curse Rehearsal, Season 2, Weird, Awkward, Cringe Comedy you would love. So, I know all about Nathan Fielder. I used to quite enjoy the, I think it was on Comedy Central, the show Nathan For You, where he would start businesses with the worst ideas ever, such as Not Starbucks, which had the exact same logo as Starbucks. It was a coffee shop, but it just said Not Starbucks above the Starbucks logo, which I thought was brilliant. So I'm all about Nathan For You. A big fan. I did watch the first episode of his new HBO Max series. I watched like the first episode of it. But I like him as a comedian, and I love his dry wit. He really commits to every bit that he does. And I appreciate that because he never breaks character. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Nathan Fielder. You don't have to sell me. So thanks for the question. And I will check out the other one. What was it? Rehearsal. I think Rehearsal Season 1, the first episode is what I did watch. But I have not gotten to Season 2. I didn't even know Season 2 was there. But I love awkward humor. I also like the one. Keep in mind, I was a pizza delivery driver for like 4 years. I like the episode where if they don't deliver pizzas in time, they give the customers a free pizza, but the free pizza is like 3 inches big. That is brilliant. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Brandon Dorian, who says, "Hey, John, curious if there's a movie where at first watch you loved, like an A-plus movie, but over time and multiple watches, you straight up think it's a bad movie. For me, the movie would be Warrior." That's interesting. I always had some issues with the movie Warrior, but I've had absolutely no issues with Nick Nolte's performance, nor Tom Hardy's performance in the movie Warrior. And with all that said, may I do my Tom Hardy and Nick Nolte impressions from the movie Warrior before I answer your question? Okay, here it goes. And scene. Nah. You weren't there when my mother was on her hands and knees in a house without heat, puking up blood. Nah. You were out somewhere else getting drunk. So why don't you take your war stories down to the VFW, because maybe they'll give a damn. And now here goes my Nick Nolte impression.
Well, it's a real nice thing what you did for that boy in that tank, Tommy.
And that's it. That's all I had to offer you. But Warrior does have some issues. I agree. I would agree with you on it. I think some of the way that the story's constructed gets a little confusing. Also, I did not like, and spoilers, but I did not like how Tommy did not win the tournament, the fighting tournament. He should have won that. I'm just saying, he should have won. But I get what you're saying. Off the top of my head, I know there's been many of movies that I saw in the theater and later you go to rewatch it and you're like, I don't like this as much as I thought I did. And I've had that problem with a lot of movies throughout my life. And that's the thing about me in movies. When I watch them, the reason I don't give movies A- and A+, it's because I think to myself, immediately after watching a movie in the theater, I think to myself, could I go back and rewatch that movie anytime soon? Would I want to go back and revisit that movie anytime soon? And I was just having this discussion with my wife yesterday with Ballerina. I think it's a fine action movie. I think it's like it's worth going to see in the theater if you want a straight up action movie. But the question you have to ask yourself, and I don't feel like most people do, is would you want to watch this shit again on a rainy day? Keep in mind, you're at your house. You can watch anything you want. You have a multitude of action movies, many of which are better than movies like Ballerina, for example. Why would you watch that over one of these movies? And the thing that I feel like is lacking in that discussion for rewatchability, and especially with modern day movies, is there's a lack of character moments that really stand out, that you latch onto, that you feel like you're there for with the journey. I feel like a majority of movies I watch in the cinema today, I feel like I'm just watching it. I'm not there with these characters. I'm not completely relating to them. They're not reaching through the screen and saying something that connects to me. And I think it's just, I don't want to say it's a lack of charisma, or maybe it is, but it just, everything feels a bit more sterilized than it used to. And I just feel like with that comes a lack of rewatchability. So my point being is, if a movie doesn't have rewatchability, it already goes down into like the B grade. Like, it can be an awesome movie or be pretty good, but if I don't think I'm going to rewatch it anytime soon or want to buy it on 4K, it instantly is somewhere in the Bs, like a B plus at best. So that's my take on that. But I'm trying to think of something, and if you guys have something in the chat right now, I'd love to talk about it. What is a movie that you guys saw and you thought you loved it, and then you went back and checked it out again, and you're like, it's fine, but it's not as good as I thought it was? Max Nugenbauer says, I think Warrior is damn good. I think it's damn good, but it's not a perfect movie. It's not, but I do enjoy it. And you know what sells me on it? It's the performances. I just like the characters. Max Nugenbauer says, Lilo and Stitch remake was forgettable. Oh yeah, instantly forgettable. That's why no one's talking about it a week after it came out. Joshua Human says, I connected with your mom. Well, your mom sits on my face every night. So there's that. And I'm hoping that she buys me the Galactus popcorn bucket, so I no longer need her services. JP Film says, John, do you still lift? I do. I just went to the gym yesterday. Got a good lat workout in. This shirt's already feeling tighter. I'm telling you that right now. So yeah, I'm getting back into the gym right now. That is my goal this summer. Dustin Rich had a comment earlier who says, Friday nights are just not good for me, John. You should always consult with me before dropping a live show. At this point, I could not tell you which day works for everybody for the live shows. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys for future live shows. I'm probably going to do these at least one on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday. At some point in the weekend, you will get one live show. And then if I'm feeling a little bit feisty, maybe you'll get like a Tuesday live show. But most definitely probably Friday. And the reason I like Friday is I feel like most people make plans on Saturday not to be home. And then with Friday, I can talk about all the movies and other random shit that happen throughout the week. So Fridays are probably going to be the go-to day for most live shows. Joshua says, I'll tell her for you, man. I got you. Thank you for that. John, don't forget to update your letterbox. I'm doing my best, man. As a dude who makes YouTube videos and I post tweets and short form content, which is slightly soul draining, it's hard to keep up with letterbox sometimes. Is anyone looking forward to Elio? That's a great question. I love me some Pixar movies. My wife loves Pixar movies. I love animated movies, good ones. And when it comes to Elio, I'm just like, this doesn't even look like a Pixar movie. This doesn't even look like a DreamWorks movie. And maybe the movie's going to be great, but it just feels like such a generic CG movie that you would have seen in theaters 10 years ago. Is anyone else are you guys looking forward to Elio? Let me know. I'm definitely going to watch it. If it's good, I'll choke on my words after I watch the movie, but those are my thoughts on Elio. Oh, Dylan Siegel says The Dark Knight Rises. You know what? And Sean says watched Rogue One last night. Great movie, to be honest. Yeah, I like Rogue One. I don't love it though. I think it has a lot of flaws. But going back to The Dark Knight Rises, if I had to pick the most heightened popular movie that going back and rewatching it I don't like as much as I originally did, in all fairness,
I rewatched Hulk from 2000.
In all fairness, it's probably The Dark Knight Rises. If I had to pick, yeah, I think it's The Dark Knight. I think it is The Dark Knight Rises. Here's the thing. The movie is very flawed. Now, when it first came out, there's a lot of things I enjoyed about it, and there's still a lot of things I enjoy about The Dark Knight Rises. I like the interpretation of Tom Hardy's Bane, speaking of Warrior and awesome traps. I overall like the concept of what they do with Batman in it, but not so much some of the execution. I think the movie gets really bizarre, and if anything, it feels like when it comes to the Dark Knight trilogy from Christopher Nolan, it feels like that was the only screenplay that they didn't go back and tweak a few things before they started shooting the movie. It feels like the first draft of the script is what they shot. I can't be the only one who feels this way. But there's a lot of cool shit in the movie. A lot of epic things go down. I love the score. I like, and I know some people hate some of the fight sequences. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, because watching the worst background extras to ever be presented in a film, it's sort of hard to do. Everyone's back there holding AK-47s, but they're punching each other, but they're missing and swinging by 7 feet. It's like, you guys couldn't hire better stunt performers for the background fights in this. Yeah, and also when it comes to the editing, it's sort of messy at times too. It feels like the most rushed movie of the Dark Knight trilogy. And I think that's a fair assessment. I do. So going back and rewatching it, and keep in mind, I just went back and rewatched it probably 2 weeks ago. The entire prison thing, on paper, I think it's a cool concept, but in execution, it's like, does this make any sense? I don't think it does. It's like, so we just have to climb to the top of this thing and then throw a rope down, and everyone else serving life sentences down in this prison well can climb out. That's all that has to happen. Why has no one thrown a rope down before? Just kicked it down. I don't know. Who knows? It's just little things like that feel like they needed some improvement. So anyway, yeah, I get where you're coming from on the Dark Knight Rises. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Real Steel Fitness, who says, have you seen the greatest beer run ever with Zac Efron on Apple TV? If not, I highly recommend. I have not seen it. I haven't seen it. Any good? You say it's good, I'll trust you, but I haven't seen it, man. When it comes to Apple TV, the last thing I watched on there was The Studio with Seth Rogen, which I would highly recommend watching that. If you like movies, or if you liked TV shows like Entourage that was on HBO, highly, highly recommend The Studio. And the great thing about The Studio was it sort of has a Curb Your Enthusiasm vibe, where it's very small scale stories, it's episodic, but they get into awkward situations where everything that can go wrong does go wrong, but I quite enjoyed it. But the coolest thing about that show was the way that they shot the episodes. There's a lot of one-take shots where the camera never cuts for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I enjoyed that because you can tell along the way that there's a few mishaps that happen, but all the actors are so well timed and can improv that you don't really notice it. So recommend The Studio. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from MC Pauly, who says, hope you're good, John. Is there any way I could show you my home one theater setup I have in my apartment? I guess you can invite me over for pizza on a rainy night. Just don't chop me up, Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know, man. I guess you could tag me in a picture on X. Just post a picture of it on X and tag me. Show it to me that way. I don't know. Yeah, show me, man. I'm curious to check it out. That, you know what? That could be kind of a cool. You know what? That could be a cool segment for an upcoming live show on X. Don't do it now. I'll put out a post. But if you guys want to take a picture of your home theater setup or wherever you guys watch movies and tag me on X, and I could share that shit on the live show, that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. Could be fun. So maybe we'll do that in the future. So yeah, that's the best way to probably get in touch with me, to show me your home theater setup. Rafa Zepian says top 5 Jake Gyllenhaal movies. Well, I'm gonna start out with a bang, and that's gonna be Prince of Persia. Phenomenal movie. I'm kidding. I'm gonna start with Nightcrawler. Obviously, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Though I will say I don't know if it's number 1, but it's definitely in the top 10 somewhere on the list. So we'll go with Nightcrawler. We'll go with Prisoners. Quite enjoyed Prisoners. Another Jake Gyllenhaal movie I love. There's so many. I'm trying to I know somebody's screaming at the monitor right now, say Donnie Darko, but the truth is, I like Donnie Darko, but it's not one of my favorite Jake Gyllenhaal movies. I know, it's blasphemy. Brokeback Mountain. How about that? I'll tell you one of my least favorite Jake Gyllenhaal movies is Roadhouse. Oh, man, okay. You have Zodiac, would probably be in my top 5. Has to be in my top 5. I don't think Spider-Man Far From Home is going to make it. I hated Ambulance. October Sky might be in there. I did meet Jake Gyllenhaal once, by the way, at the premiere of Stronger back in 2017. Got a picture with him. We're best friends. Let's see, what else? You know what movie I never watched was Life with Jake Gyllenhaal. It sort of just seemed like a symbiote movie in space. Love and Other Drugs. I don't think I ever watched the entire thing. I liked Southpaw, but did not love it. So yeah, and Nocturnal. I did not like Nocturnal. There's a lot of Gyllenhaal movies I don't like. That's the thing. Bubble Boy. I liked Everest. I did like the movie Everest. I saw Source Code once. Was Jake Gyllenhaal in City Slickers as a kid or something? I didn't know that. Blu-ray Addict says, Donnie Darko, Nightcrawler, Prisoners, End of Watch, and Southpaw are my top 5. You know what? I'd probably throw End of Watch in there as well. I'm going to put End of Watch in there. All right. Let's go to the next question here. And the next one comes from... Oh, gosh. Okay, let me back way up here. Here we go. The next one comes from JR, who says, John, boxers or briefs, or thongs or jockstrap. My motto is, if they can't see from the waist down, you don't have to wear anything, like right now. No, to be honest with you, I like the briefs. Is that what they're called? Briefs? I like the ones that come down the thigh just a little bit, but they're made out of like a dry fit material, like the Hanes dry fit briefs. They have they kind of hold you where you want to be, but they're loose in all the right places, but they can also breathe. That's what I go for. I like extra support just in case. Or sometimes I wear a thong. All right. Daniel Glassman says, John, your impressions make me laugh so hard I urinate. Would you bless me with one or two? I love you. It sounds like you might have a bladder infection. But thank you for that. What I want you to do is go buy adult-sized diapers right now, because here's an impression for you. What impression do you want? What shitty impression can I do for you? My name's Morgan Freeman. That's all you get. All right. Do it now. All right, let's go to the next one here. Night King 01. How's it going, Night King 01? You know it's not a live show with Night King 01. How you doing, buddy? I thought the Ballerina was slightly above average. It's just John Wick 1, but even more standard. Also, forget John Wick surviving ridiculous injuries. These guys get stabbed in the neck and shanked multiple times and still keep going. Well, that's the thing about the John Wick genre. It started to get more over the top and over the top with every new installment. And that's the thing about Ballerina. Like, yeah, she does get beat up, but she takes punches in the face that would probably kill any normal human being. And at the end of all these over-the-top action sequences, and I keep in mind, I know it's just an action movie, right? People can survive explosions and what have you, but it just feels like no matter what happens to her in the movie, she always just has like a scratch right here. There's always just one scratch right here. Not so much here, but just right here. So yeah, I get what you're saying, man. I thought it was a good time. I did. Would I go back and rewatch it anytime soon? Probably not, no. Because I'd much rather just watch like the first John Wick movie. All right, the next one comes from Legendary, who says, some dudes out there wish the bucket was... What? Galactina? A Galactina? Like a Hispanic Galactus bucket? I mean, hey, I'm sure there's a market for that. Long as it has magenta handles, that's all I need. All right. Logan X says, "Hey John, saw Ballerina last night and agree with your thoughts. Anna did let the Cuban accent leak through a little. Well, yeah, but that's okay because she was supposed to have an accent anyway. So like any foreign accent sounds appropriate coming from her because I think her character was from like South America or wherever. So yeah, I get what you're saying. But I will say there are a lot of flashbacks to a younger version of her character throughout the movie Ballerina. And the little girl that they had playing the same character had less of a foreign accent than Ana de Armas did. So I thought that was sort of interesting. Logan X says, "Hey, John." Oh, we already answered that. Sorry. Okay, the next one comes from Non-Fat Matt, who says, "John, I don't care about your movie takes anymore. I come here to hear you talk about your lawn, your heating pad, and you becoming a... What? Oh, a decrepit, weathered old man. You're right, I am becoming decrepit and old weathered because I could barely read that small font on my screen anyway. But for real, been watching since 2014, and now I have a 14-month-old born on your birthday. Well, happy birthday to your small child at home and myself. Well, thank you for that. And happy April 19th birthday to both of us. But thanks for that, Non-Fat Matt. And truth be told, I am becoming an old decrepit man that cares about his lawn maybe too much. And yes, I will slowly transition into Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino, where I look at little kids on my lawn and just always look like I'm sucking on a lemon with a sour face. But that's okay. I'm content with that. But nevertheless, man, thank you. Thanks for that, buddy. And speaking of my heating pad, immediately following this live show, I'm going to go eat some tacos, jump in the shower, and then lay on my heating pad in my bed and watch SmackDown. That is my plan after this live stream. What is your plan after this live stream? Let me know. Or let me know what you guys are doing right now. Are you watching my stupid face? Are you guys playing video games? Let me know what you're doing right now. How's life going for you tonight? These are the small, intimate details I like to know. It's not just about me. I'm not some pretentious, narcissistic asshole influencer. No, I'm a guy who cares. And I just so happen to not be wearing any pants right now, and I have a Superman shirt on, okay? So let me know what you guys are doing right now down below. Not that kind of down below. Okay. The Nicka Doug Express says, "Hey, John. Did you know that Frank Darabont is directing 2 episodes of Stranger Things? I feel no one is talking about it. I love Shawshank Redemption." Oh, me too, baby. I love me some Shawshank Redemption. Ooh, Mandy Dufresne never walked right again after that day. The sisters got a hold of him. I did not know he was directing 2 episodes of the upcoming final season of Stranger Things. So that's, hey, cool by me. I wonder which episodes it is. You guys know? Let me know. But yeah, as far as the final season of Stranger Things go, I'm very excited about it. It's probably my most anticipated show of all time. I love me some Stranger Things. I love that 80s nostalgia. I just like everything about it. It's so immersive, and I think the production quality is top notch. And I am a huge fan of Dustin in the show quite a bit. Dustin and Steve's sort of dynamic, I love that shit. And for Halloween, my wife and I were Steve and Dustin from Stranger Things. She was Dusty Buns, and I was Steve. It was a good time. But anyway, as far as that teaser trailer that they crapped out last week at the Netflix to Dumb, it basically just showed you recaps of previous seasons with probably about 8 new seconds of footage. But hey, I'm still looking forward to it. And with all that said, run! Thanks, Will. Thanks. Does anyone else hope Will dies? Or am I the only one? I know. Like, I just feel like there's nothing left for Will to do. Just sacrifice yourself for the betterment of your friends who risked their lives to bring you back from the upside down in season 1. And the least you can do is sacrifice yourself, okay? Oh, you want to draw a picture of wizards? That's fine. Take that over there. I'm just kidding. I don't want to see any of the kids die. I don't. But maybe 11 could go. I don't know. All right. Michael Flores says, "Hey, John, my wife says that shirt makes your eyes really blue. She likes the color blue." Well, thank you for that. Thank you. I don't know how to take that compliment, but I do appreciate it. I do like the blue shirt. I will say it does make my eyes rather blue. So thank you for that. All right, let's go to the next one here. Michael Flores also says, "My wife and I are watching your awesome face, John." Well, thanks, man. Thank you for that. GF Hostman says, "Playing PlayStation, playing Ghost of..." Just passed by too quick. "I'm laying in my bed in my underwear." Hey, man, that's where I would be right now if I wasn't doing this. Laying in my underwear eating chips. So I'm pretty sure about 90% of my viewers are laying in their underwear. And that's fine. I wouldn't have it any other way. Get comfortable. Get cozy. Dim the lights. Take off your fucking pants. Light a candle. Put this on in the background. Get the ambiance just right. If the aroma of popcorn isn't resonating into your nostrils and throughout your house right now, you're doing it wrong. So thank you for that. All right. I'm playing my Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, did you guys get a Nintendo Switch 2? I almost debated about getting one. First and foremost, I'm poor, so I don't know if that would be the best investment for a guy who's drowning in credit card debt. Thanks, Costco. But I thought about getting one. Is it worth it? Are you guys happy with it? All right, let's go to the next question here. And the next one comes from Jason. And now Jason has about, 5 questions here. So let's answer all the glorious questions from Jason. "John, you're awesome. You need to do more live streams so I can send you more questions." Well, hey, man, you sent 5 now. That is sufficient. Let's keep going, though. "John, I secretly took over the world with my superhuman mind. Do you want in on it?" No, I just want you to dump a whole bunch of money into my bank account. That's all I need. I need some cash. I don't need happiness. Dearest John of Johns in the John world, it's Jason. My name is not John. Thank you for that. You answer these questions, John. You answer them. "John, tell me what you will use this $2 for. Lie to me if you have to." Honestly, to be honest with you, the money that I make from these live shows, I don't invest it. I don't do things that most adults should probably do. I throw all this shit right back into making more videos for you. And what I mean by that is I bought a new monitor because my old monitor was starting to die out on me, and I wanted a dual monitor setup. So now I have one. I bought this on a credit card from Sam's Club, nevertheless. But yeah, that's what I do with the money from Super Chats. I honestly mean this. I just buy more YouTube shit to make more videos and to make videos easier to make. So like having a dual monitor makes the live stream so much easier. So like I like doing live streams now. It's just, it's more fun to me. I bought a new selfie stick the other day that has a little monitor built into it that sort of works, but sort of doesn't work. And that's the biggest complaint I have with everything that I buy related to YouTube shit off Amazon. You just know it's not going to work the way you want it to. I have 75 selfie sticks back there, and like all of them serve a different purpose. Like some of them I can attach a different attachment to, some I can't. Some don't work whatsoever. Some of them just like my phone flops out of whenever I put it in there. Anyway, so that's usually where the majority of your $2 super chats go, Jason. So I do thank you for that. Clark Ingleton says, "John, I'm sorry, but I can only subscribe to Tantally if there's a life-size realistic robotic lovemaking doll of you, sir." Well, unfortunately, they do not have that at Tantally.com. Speaking of which, I've been meaning to get in touch with them to do another sponsorship because I know I got a lot of perverts watching. You know who you are. But I figured by talking about the new Galactus popcorn bucket today, and by the way, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's that thing right there with the handlebars and the hopefully the mouth does open up. I'm really hoping that mouth opens up and has some like vacuum suction ability in it. But anyway, if you have the Galactus popcorn bucket, you don't even need Tantaley.com. And if you don't know what Tantaley.com is, well, just don't go there right now, especially if the family's around. All right. The next one comes from Sammy, who says, "Love you, man. Been watching since Batman v Superman came out. What is the key to getting your own home?" Good credit is a great starting point, but don't ask me about that because a couple years ago, I just let that tank, okay? So do as I say, not as I do, all right? So you just have good credit, have a consistent income for like 2 years, and you should be good. You can always make like a 5% down payment. You don't need the 20% down payment, though. Your mortgage will be more every month. I know it's getting really boring, but that's sort of the key to that. And as a dude who has bought and sold, I think 3 or 4 houses, 1, 2, 3, is it 4? Is this my 5th house? It seems like it got harder every time. So good luck with it, man. If I had to buy a house right now, I don't think I could make it happen. Actually, I know I couldn't. And that's the thing about society. It's like everything, it feels like it's just getting harder and harder to be a normal person every year. That 1950s dream of owning a house, a kid, and 2.5, or owning a kid, owning a car and having 2.5 kids, that dream is slowly fading away every decade. And it really pisses me off a little bit. All right, the next question comes from Taylor Goodwin, who says, "Karate Kid Legends was so bad and so short." Oh, yeah, that movie was a cash grab. I think it really was a cash grab. Now, there are some good ideas in Karate Kid Legends. I put out a review, and we talked about it on the last live show. But I feel like that was to capitalize on any success that Cobra Kai still had going for it, which by the time we got to like the 6th, 7th, 8th season of Cobra Kai, I feel like it had dragged out way too long to care. And I feel like that was a show that should have had like 4 or 5 seasons. I'll give it 5 seasons tops, all right? But by the time John Kreese looked like he was 110 years old, and he looked like a wax statue just standing over there with hair taped to the top of it. Yeah, but Vietnam, Cobra Kai. I think it was time to end it. But when it comes to Karate Kid Legends, I did like how the new Karate Kid, and by karate I mean technically he knows Kung Fu, and somebody tried to correct me on that in my review of the movie. They're like, for a guy who likes Karate Kid so much, you know he learns karate, not Kung Fu. And I wanted to just step back for a second. And first of all, I won't say this. Jackie Chan teaches Kung Fu in the movie, okay? That's what Jackie Chan teaches. Kung Fu, not karate, okay? He's not Mr. Miyagi. So the main kid in the new movie knows Kung Fu. And he learned some karate from Daniel LaRusso in the 3rd act of the movie for about 3.5 minutes. But yeah, the movie feels like a cash grab. It's the same shit you've already seen, the same copy and paste formula. And they crapped out a new Karate Kid movie, except the only thing that this new Karate Kid movie had to offer was a 20-minute subplot featuring Joshua Jackson's character, who's an over-the-hill pizza shop owner who used to be a boxer who wants one last boxing match to get some money to pay off loan sharks. And the new Karate Kid teaches him Kung Fu, which somehow relates to being a good boxer. And that's a 20-minute subplot that goes absolutely nowhere in the new Karate Kid movie. So there's that. If that's what you want to see, go watch Karate Kid Legends. I'm sure it's going to be a classic. Not. All right. The next one comes from Jason, who says, "John, do you know who I am? We met once in a river. We were both naked, and you had a gun. Do you remember? It's okay, John. We can tell people now." First and foremost, if I was in a river naked and had a gun, never mind. I'm not going where I was going to go with that. I cannot go there. I will not go there. But yes, I do remember. Jason also, once again, Jason, I cannot believe this is this is what you want to spend $2 on. But hey, man, I'll answer any super chat. Okay, John. Last time you didn't know what Fraggle was. A Fraggle is a beloved Muppet-like creature person from an awesome show called Down in Fraggle Rock from my childhood. Thank you for clarifying that, Jason. Robert G. Chanta says, please tell me I'm not the only one who cheered when the main girl in Dangerous Animals quoted Point Break. Yeah, I was meaning to make a review for the movie Dangerous Animals because I genuinely liked the movie, and I feel like maybe I should just crap out a review tomorrow, but it just feels like if you can't put out a review before the movie comes out, the viewership is not there, and that's the society and the reality that we live in on social media, and that's my biggest problem with making movie reviews. It didn't used to be like that. But we'll get there. But when it comes to Dangerous Animals, I really enjoyed it. And yes, there is a Point Break reference that happens because the main girl, her name is Zephyr. She makes a Point Break quote, I believe, in the movie. So I really did enjoy it. And it's a great movie. If I had to recommend any movie to go watch this weekend, and if you're just looking for a good summertime movie to eat some popcorn and watch, and you like sharks and other weird shit, go watch Dangerous Animals. That would probably be my favorite movie of the last 2 weeks. And keep in mind, I've seen a lot of movies in the last 2 weeks. I've seen How to Train Your Dragon. I've seen Karate Kid Legends. I've seen Ballerina. I've seen Life of Chuck. I've seen something else, I'm sure. But yeah, Dangerous Animals. Probably the most enjoyable theater experience I've had. And keep in mind, it stars Jai Courtney, so I'm really saying something here with that. Bruce Cook says, hey, John, how is your right eye? Well, my right eye, I've talked about this before. I have something called keratoconus in my right eye. It's where my pupil is shaped a little bit weird and bizarre. So everything in my right eye is blurry. So when I look at my right eye, it's sort of like looking through saran wrap. It's very blurry. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's my life. You know what I mean? I just kind of have to utilize my left eye, which does compensate for my right eye. It's not like I'm going to need an eye patch or anything, though that would look pretty cool and kick ass. I'd look like Sagat from Street Fighter, and hey, I'd be okay with that. But yeah, it's blurry. It's always going to be blurry. It's the sacrifice I had to make. Michael Flores says, hey, John, when it comes to popcorn buckets, I have the Brave New World popcorn bucket and 3 different Ghostbusters Frozen Empire popcorn buckets. Well, that's cool, man. And speaking of the Frozen Empire popcorn bucket, hang on. So let me... Here's my popcorn bucket for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The only reason, first and foremost, I think the movie sucks, but I think the ghost trap is kind of cool. And who doesn't want a ghost trap, right? Like on Halloween time, you can put some candy in there and serve it to little kids. I don't know, but that's my Ghostbusters Frozen Empire popcorn bucket. And then this relates not to popcorn buckets whatsoever, but this is my Batman piggy bank. I probably have about $3 in there. And really what this is my kids, my future children's college education fund. I put it all in the Batman piggy bank. So, all right, let's put this back up there. And watch it fall on my head halfway through the live show, but that's okay. But I got a lot of popcorn buckets. At some point, maybe at the end of summer, I'll do like a popcorn bucket video with all my new popcorn buckets that I've acquired over the last 6 months. Because I did not get into popcorn buckets whatsoever until like last October, somewhere in there. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start being very picky with my popcorn buckets, though, because I have a few that I don't want anymore. So maybe I can do a giveaway or something. I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Jason once again, who says, John, if you were a person in the Breakfast Club, what would you have said in the group moment when all of the kids shared with each other about life? You know what's funny? I just rewatched The Breakfast Club like 2 weeks ago. And sometimes when I'm feeling a bit depressed and life is a bit overwhelming, the way I escape from all of that craziness is I watch a John Hughes movie from the 1980s. It's the best form of therapy I can prescribe to all of you besides watching me on YouTube during a live stream, because essentially this is a group therapy session, so I thank you for joining me. But if I was in the Breakfast Club and I was sitting around having that group therapy session where we're all crying and Emilio Estevez admits that he taped some guy's hairy ass shut with duct tape and ripped it off, and that's why he's in Saturday school, what would I have said? I don't know. I'd probably tell them about the time Jason and I were in a river naked with a gun, hugging each other until the sun came up. I'd probably share that with them. But really, I'd probably tell them about all the tragedy that happened in my childhood that I suppressed deep down inside, and I mask it with a weird, dark sense of humor on YouTube. And that's probably what I would do. Yeah. All right. Nah. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Ryman6000 says, what is your favorite Jennifer Lawrence performance in a movie? Favorite Jennifer Lawrence performance. I like her as Mystique, but she hated playing that role because of all the prosthetics. So that's why in X-Men, whatever the last shitty X-Men movie that was crapped out, Dark Phoenix, was that it? Yeah, that's why you don't even see her as Mystique, except for like 2 scenes. Oddly enough, I just rewatched Passengers the other day with Jennifer Lawrence, and I'm not saying that's her best performance, but I liked her in that movie. I did. What was that Jennifer Lawrence comedy movie where she dates an autistic kid? And it also had Matthew Broderick in it. Something. I don't remember. Ballooned Raccoon says Silver Linings Playbook. Yeah, that was good. I watched it a few times. Dustin Rich says, I hated her playing that role too. Yeah. I'm trying to think of my favorite Jennifer Lawrence movie. I know she's given some performances I liked, though. That's the thing. Let's see. Jennifer Lawrence movies. Let's check it out together. All right. What do we got here? Here's what we got. Red Sparrow, I did not watch. Ooh, I did not like Mother at all. Passengers, No Hard Feelings, that's the movie I'm thinking of. Don't Look Up, I could only watch 5 minutes of that, and if anything, Don't Look Up to watch that movie. American Hustle, I thought was a wasted opportunity. I did like her in X-Men First Class as Mystique, I will say that. The Beaver... Yeah, you know what's... I mean, she was fine in the Hunger Games movies. I thought she was fine. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go with Silver Linings Playbook. Let's go with that. We'll go with that. GF Hostman says Winter's Bone. Movie Geek says Mother. I was not a big fan of Mother. Bruce Cook says Joy. Yeah. You know what's funny? I wanted to watch the movie Joy because the concept sounded kind of interesting to me. Because I like movies that revolve around like a starting a business, like the McDonald's movie, The Founder, for example. I like concepts like that, but something about Joy just, I could just never get it up to watch the movie. So let's go to the next one here. And the next question comes from the movie guy, who says, and thanks for the question, the movie guy. Hey, John, I rewatched Hulk from 2003. I feel that movie doesn't get the credit it deserves. The end fight could have been better, but I still think Eric Bana did a great job as Hulk. Bring him back. Yeah, the 2003 Hulk movie, which I've seen 2 times, and I remember vividly seeing it in the theater and thinking, this is kind of weird. The other thing about that movie was it's directed by Ang Lee, but the thing that sort of took me out of it was, this is in the early days of comic book movies, right? Now, I'm very aware we've had comic book movies going back to the original Superman in the late 70s and Batman movies in the 1980s. But this was like an early 2000s comic book movie. And throughout the movie, you have these transitions from scene to scene. And there's literal comic book pages flipping. And for me, that just took me out of it. It's like, what is this? Some transition you could download on iMovie? Like, that's how it felt to me. But I think Eric Bana did a pretty good job in the movie. I mean, he does look like Bruce Banner as the Hulk. And, you know, some of the Hulk designs, like, I guess that's kind of, it's kind of cool. It looks a little weird, but, you know, for a movie that's 20 plus years old at this time, I think it looked better than it could have looked worse. We'll put it like that. The movie could have looked worse. Plus, it stars Jennifer Connelly and also has Nick Nolte playing the villain of the film. But as a movie goes, as far as the screenplay goes, I just think it's a really bad movie. And I don't think it was a very good adaptation of Hulk. But I think it's a bizarre and interesting movie. And I do agree with you in some regard that it doesn't quite get the respect it deserves. But at the same time, there's some creative choices that they made in this movie that you have to question. Why did you do that? Like, you didn't have to do that. But like that scene right there, that looks cool to me. Like, I think that visual looks awesome. That looks straight out of a comic book. Bruce Cook says Ang Lee's Hulk was boring. And yeah, that I think it is boring at times. Joshua Human says movie sucked though. Dustin Rich says, have you seen Inner Space yet, John? 80s Gold. I have not seen it yet, man. I have not. Oh, and by the way, if you guys are YouTube members on this channel or my FlickPick channel, but more specifically this channel, I uploaded some new emojis for you guys. So there is a special bat nips emoji. If you want to use it right now and you are a member, please put some bat nips on the screen. I want to see it. Give it to me now. And also, real quick, another quick mention. If you guys are YouTube members, I do have a special mini Flick Trip coming. It's just a short little Flick Trip video that I made at a different Mega Replay location. Whole bunch of physical media that I stopped at when I went to see the How to Train Your Dragon remake down in Indianapolis. And also, look out for a special podcast that I'm going to try to do maybe bi-weekly for YouTube members. So look out for that as well. I'm supposed to record it Monday, so keep a lookout. Dustin Rich says, Hulk fighting a poodle in a tree. What were the riders smoking? Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. You're absolutely right. All right, let me catch up on some of these questions real quick. We are falling behind. Okay, we're only 39 minutes behind on the questions, but I will talk faster. Jason says, John, if you were ever a gangster, like the guy in Pulp Fiction, would you have one of those guys take your wife out on a date? Does Marcellus Wallace look like a bitch? Then why you treat him like a bitch? Your LA privileges have been revoked. No, I always thought that was very intriguing that Marcellus Wallace had Vincent, played by John Travolta, take his wife out on a date. I always thought that was weird. That's just asking for trouble. And then, of course, she ODs on heroin, and he has to stab her in the heart with a needle, which makes for great cinema. But I probably would not. Mina, Is it Mina Metri? Metri? Here it goes, Mina Metri. Hey, John. I wanted to buy Oppenheimer, but I just watched it for the first time and I don't think it has rewatchability value. What are your thoughts? That is a great question. And this relates to the question that someone asked earlier about a movie that you loved and then later rewatched and sort of didn't love as much. Now, hear me out for a second. Hear me out for a second. I like Oppenheimer. I think it's brilliant. I think when it comes to cinema, it is top tier. But as far as rewatchability goes, especially from Christopher Nolan, it has very little rewatchability for me. It really does. And I feel the same way about Dunkirk. And I've went back and tried to rewatch that movie multiple times on 4K, and it just does not hit the same way it did the first time when I watched it in IMAX. And I'm going to say that exact same thing about Oppenheimer. I think the movie's great, and if I watched it on the right day at the right time, yeah, I'm not going to be bored by it. I don't hate the movie, but it just lacks that rewatchability, right? There's a lot of scenes in it I like. There's a lot of IMAX sequences I want to revisit, but yeah, the movie as a whole just, I don't know. Kind of lacks that rewatchability. Does anyone else agree with that? Let me know down below. Oh, Michael Flores, look at those bat nips, baby. Thank you. That is probably the best emoji I could have given you guys. And every time you guys like something or it gets you super excited, please share the bat nips emoji. You're welcome. That is my gift to all of my members. Bruce Cook says, if you want bat nips, I'll watch Batman and Robin. Exactly. That's why I did this. All right. G Moneyball says it's not fun. Did I say Oppenheimer's not fun? Is that what did I say that? Don't quote me on that. I don't mean it's not fun. I just mean, and if I said Oppenheimer's not fun, that's not what I meant. I just meant it lacks some rewatchability, right? It's a depressing movie. I mean, keep in mind, they made the instrument of destruction that they dropped on human beings to end a war. It's one of those philosophical moral dilemmas, right? Do you do this to save millions of lives? I don't know. I think that's a very interesting discussion to have. And by the way, there's a rumor circling right now that James Cameron might be directing an upcoming Hiroshima movie about the atomic bomb, but rather than talk about the development of the atom bomb, he wants to focus on the actual destruction and chaos and the aftermath. And when it comes to James Cameron, I will be happy with anything he decides to direct besides Avatar at this point. I just rewatched The Abyss the other day, and that movie, for being from 1989, 90% of it holds up. The alien stuff, the alien jellyfish, to me, sort of need some tweaking. And that was always my least favorite aspect about The Abyss. But everything else, as far as the practical stunts, oh, I love it. But my point is, James Cameron might be directing a atomic bomb movie as well. So Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Yeah, that's it. I think he wants to call it Hiroshima. Maybe that's the title. Michael Flores says, would you think Hacksaw Ridge has rewatchability, John? That's another... You are going into my brain right now, into the crevices, and finding these answers that I wanted you to find. Thank you for that. So I liked Hacksaw Ridge, but I would agree. It has little rewatchability. It really does. Like when it comes to war movies, Saving Private Ryan, I could watch once a year. No problem. But Hacksaw Ridge, I've never had the urge to revisit the movie. Legendary says Oppenheimer 2, The Way of Fire. Oh, no, Oppenheimer 2, Fire and Ash. Let's go to the next question. And the next one comes from Andy Kumar, who says, my dad was born in India, doesn't speak much English. When I was 9, I made him buy Rush Hour 2 on VHS. He didn't know what it was. It changed my life. Interesting. For the better? Did you and your dad bond while watching Rush Hour 2? Or is everything that he learned specifically from the movie Rush Hour 2, where you watch Jackie Chan speak broken English, and then you watch Chris Tucker barely speak English? Introducing Corbin Dallas! That's not even from Rush Hour. That's from The Fifth Element. But that's my Chris Tucker impression. Danny B says, love the special edition of The Abyss. Oh man, it's great. It's the only way to watch the movie. It has like an extra 20 minutes of footage. Okay, the next one comes from Jason once again, who says, if you were your own father when you were growing up as a kid, what life advice would you give to yourself? That is a deep question that deserves some philosophical thought put into it. But ultimately, I would just say, little Johnny, one day, Bitcoin will make you a billionaire. Take $10 and buy all the Bitcoin you can right now, and you'll never have to work another day in your life. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all I had. That's it. Oh. Never mind. Never mind. Oh, and this is the one last thing I would add. And you know your friend Lee, who's sort of like a dirty kid? Yeah, don't stay over at his house anymore because you will probably get lice. That's my other life advice I'd give younger version of me, yeah. Jason also says, John, do you secretly love me? I've always wondered. I love all of you more than you'll ever know. And I'm scared, but I'm also going to ask because it would be terrible to forever go on without knowing. Yeah, I love you, Jason. I love you. I love you, man. The movie guy says, did you watch the extended cut of The Abyss? I did watch the extended cut. Definitely my favorite James Cameron film, but I understand what you mean about the aliens. For me, though, less is more in the case. Bud is a great character. Oh, yeah. Bud in The Abyss is phenomenal. Ed Harris, oh my God. Sometimes it's hard to remember everything when you have 14 different windows open and a chat that just keeps scrolling by. It's hard to remember every little minute detail about a movie. It's very hard, especially when you have a bright light shining in your eyeballs. But nevertheless, in the movie The Abyss, now if you've never seen The Abyss, I highly recommend it. It's a great summertime blockbuster movie. And there are so many awesome underwater sequences that they actually shot practically in a huge diving tank that will just blow your mind if you watch the making of the movie. But it's a great movie. The only issue I have going back to it is the alien subplot. I don't think it's bad. I just think it needs tweaking. And keep in mind, this is a 1989 movie. And some of the effects with the way that the aliens manipulate water, that water effect where they like make people's faces, I think is great. I mean, that was groundbreaking shit in 1989. And it's because of those visual effects. That's the reason why you had the T-1000 being liquid metal in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. They used the exact same effects. Instead of water, now it's liquid metal. So there's that. But the aliens in The Abyss, they just look like very bright and glowy jellyfish. And it's not that I hate it. It's just a lot to take in the first time you see it. And some of the effects on those, they do look a little dated. They look well done for 1989, but they look a little dated. And the biggest issue I have with The Abyss is it wants to be Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but it doesn't quite have that same emotional connection. But all the underwater effects and all the human drama and all those thrills under the sea, awesome stuff. All right, let's go to the next question here. Claudia Rogajan says, hey, John, you mentioned the prison in The Dark Knight Rises. Unless I'm looking at it wrong, why didn't anyone just climb the rope up to the top instead of trying to make the stupid jump. Also, his back would break from just falling with the rope. Yeah, no, I agree with you. If somebody would have just walked by the pit and thrown the rope in, everyone could have climbed out. It was dangling on the edge for centuries or decades or what have you. It's just right there. A strong breeze might have blown it in. Who knows? And yeah, the entire back thing makes no sense. It makes a lot of, none of it makes sense. And the only way, like, and this just came to me, but the only way the entire pit sequence would have made any sense whatsoever is if somehow this was some kind of like dream sequence of Bruce Wayne laying somewhere in a coma and he envisioned this symbolism of escaping a prison and returning back to Gotham as maybe he's laying in some dark crevice somewhere trying to recover from getting his ass kicked by Bane. That's the only way that would have made sense, if it was all in his mind. Almost like another layer of Inception. But yeah, in reality, it makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no fucking sense. But it looked kind of cool at times. Don't even get me started on his magical knee brace. Don't get me started on it. All right, the next one comes from Jason once again, who says, kisses, more kisses. Well, thank you for the kisses, Jason. Chris Benoit's signature move, the Crippler Crossface, says, would Predator be better if it had Goldust, the wrestler, in it? Probably not, but since you mentioned that, I have a friend, and we always reference Goldust from WWF, not WWE, WWF. And if you don't know who Goldust is, let me just show you this shit right here. Goldust, WWF. He was this androgynous character who was a wrestler, who had golden hair, who looked like a live-action Oscar statue as he walked down to the ring. And in the mid-1990s, this was some pretty on the edge of your seat stuff, right? This was bizarre stuff, to say the least. But anyway, he did this thing, and please don't be freaked out or weirded out or don't unsubscribe because I do this. But he did this thing where he'd always go, "You'll never forget the name of Goldust." And me and my friend always do that to each other. So that's my story about Goldust. Let's go to the next one here. Vigard says, what is your favorite Tom Cruise movie? What kind of role do you want to see him doing more of going forward? What director do you want to see him working with? Well, that's a loaded question. Okay. I would like to see Tom Cruise maybe step away from being a stuntman for a minute and get back to doing character roles and maybe something a bit more subdued. I like when Tom Cruise doesn't always play the guy who's good at everything, who saves the planet. He's the best race car driver. He's the best spy. He's the best fighter pilot. I like when Tom Cruise plays a bad guy or plays a villain. And he's only done it maybe a few times throughout his entire career. And I would like to see him do something more like he did in the movie Collateral, directed by Michael Mann, where he does, in fact, play a villainous hitman role. But he's also a really good hitman. So I'd like to see him do more of that type of stuff. Maybe something more subdued, low-key, character-driven, where he doesn't just play Tom Cruise, the stuntman. I think that's what I would like to see. As far as a director goes, I don't know. I would like to see Tom Cruise in a Quentin Tarantino movie. And I feel like that was the plan at one point. I feel like Tom Cruise was supposed to be in the canceled Quentin Tarantino movie, The Critic. But I could be making that up. I feel like that was a thing, though. But yeah, I'll go with that. The next one comes from Jason. John, I find myself being painted into a crazy corner or being simultaneously in love with over 140 women. Please give me helpful advice. I don't know what you can do, man. You just pick one and run with it. Mistakes happen. You'll be okay. Night King 01 says, I laughed in Ballerina when Daniel Bernhardt showed up to fight Ana de Armas in the restaurant lodge. He was in the first John Wick as a completely different character. He was the main henchman. I didn't even know that. Holy shit. I don't know. All the henchmen in that movie just started blurring together in Ballerina. So I was like, oh, this is somebody for her to punch. I guess him being a stuntman helps, but he's named in both. I don't think anyone probably noticed that except for you, Night King 01. I don't think anyone noticed the random henchman getting punched in the face, but maybe they did. I did not notice that. Did he look identical? Did they at least give him like a different wig or something? I don't know. Silvio says, love the content. Well, thanks, Silvio. And thanks for being a member for 23 glorious months. Legendary says, I don't hate Avatar, but James Cameron needs to do something else already. I miss his more grounded movies. James Cameron hasn't really, I mean, the most grounded movie James Cameron has probably made in the last 40 years of making movies is Titanic. And that's really saying something, isn't it? But no, I agree. Can we go away from, it feels like at this point in the Avatar franchise, anyone could direct these movies. You don't necessarily need James Cameron anymore to direct these movies. You really don't. Anyone could direct these movies. So I agree with you. Dustin Rich says, have you heard that there's a white Black Panther in the comics now? And do you think a white Black Panther movie could save the MCU? Yeah, let's talk about white Black Panther, because if we couldn't have any more controversy relating to comic book movies or comic book characters, well, now we have White Panther. White Black Panther. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to the Black Panther character here, or the white Black Panther character, keep in mind, I think he is mixed. I believe Black Panther made love to a white lady, and then they found out they had a kid 20 odd years later. I think that's how the comic book storyline goes. Didn't read it. I don't even really care. So keep in mind, he's a mixed Black Panther, so he's white and black, I guess. I don't know. Do I ultimately care about this? Not really. But this is definitely a choice. And I don't know what they were thinking with this. Out of all the characters, I don't know. I don't know if this is the right one to go with on this. But would I like to see a new Black Panther movie starring Ryan Gosling as Black Panther? In another universe that exists somewhere. Would I like to see that? Sure, why not? Sign me up now. Do I think it's going to be a good movie? I don't know. Do I think it'll be very controversial? Oh, absolutely. So, who knows if that would be a good investment or not. To be honest with you, I'd rather see anyone play the new Black Panther than what's the sister's name in Black Panther? I don't want to watch like some little girl play Black Panther. It feels unbecoming to me. So ultimately, I don't really care. Those are my thoughts on it. I don't know. Dustin Rich says, I've been considering checking out The Surfer with Nick Cage. I would have liked to known what you thought of it, but couldn't watch it all. Quitter. Yeah, man, sorry. I couldn't get through all of The Surfer. I got through like the first act of the movie, and I just wasn't on board with the concept. It got to the point where I just ultimately did not care what the outcome was going to be. And that's coming from a guy who loves him some Nick Cage movies. But it wasn't a story or a journey I felt like watching for 2 hours of my life. I'm sorry. Yeah, Shuri. The sister Shuri, yes. Danny says, I like Shuri's Black Panther. Yeah, but didn't you like Chadwick Boseman more? I mean, yeah, anybody? I don't know. I like Shuri being his sidekick. like being his little sister in the chair, like doing all the tech stuff. I think that's cool. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Jason says, John, I possess the articulation skills of a mad, insane, sickly robot. I wish I did too, man. What a weird comment, but thank you for that. Lee B. Film says, hey, Stiffmeister. I mean, John, I love your videos. I miss your old Black Friday and Hilariosity Collab videos. Are you curious to see Paradise Records? Why does that sound familiar? Paradise Records. It comes out June 6th. So it's out. It came out today. Is this on streaming? Have you guys watched Paradise Records? Is it any good? Paradise Records. Let's read what it's about here. It's rated R. A record store owner and his eccentric staff fight to save their beloved shop from closing down. That sounds very familiar to another movie that came out in 1996, 7. What was that movie called? It had Empire. Was it called Empire Records or something? Had Liv Tyler in it. Yeah, Empire Records. Yeah. So it sounds just like Empire Records to me, man. Which I did enjoy Empire Records quite a bit. Great underrated 90s movie. Yeah, it came out when? 1995. This movie gave me such a crush on Liv Tyler. Oh my gosh. I vividly remember this movie. Oh, yeah, good times. Anyway, so watch Empire Records, but I will check out the movie you just mentioned. So, sounds kind of cool, but it sounds just like Empire Records. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Chris Benoit's signature move, who says, how much would you pay for Lincoln Hawk's bicep curl machine? Probably not much. I feel like I could probably install a bicep curling machine in my Toyota for like $45. You just need some weights. It'd be kind of a hassle to... You know what I would rather do? How about I just buy one of those grip strength things that you squeeze? Or maybe carry around a 20-pound dumbbell. But then again, I would like a curling machine in my rig. Just I work at one arm. That's it. One arm. Hey, it ain't about being the best. It's about doing your best. Remember that. The next one comes from Anthony, who says, John, if you were to write a screenplay, what would the story be about? I've had many of ideas, and it depends on the budget. You have to give me some form of limitation, because if you tell me money's no hurdle and it's unlimited, I'm probably going to write you some over-the-top bullshit like Avatar, okay? That's just where my brain would go. Money? No limitations? Blue aliens. What do? Well, they fuck under the tree of life with their ponytails. Why? Because I have billions of dollars. That's what I want to see. But if I could make a movie, I love the genre of... I love criminal movies. I love when you have a likable, charismatic main character who also has a dark side, but they're also a criminal, a likable criminal of sorts. So I always wanted to write a movie where it was sort of like a heist movie, and you had a dude who was in his maybe early 20s, and it's sort of a comedy / crime drama movie. I had a vision for that at one point. Now, would that original idea be successful at the box office? Probably not, but that's the movie I would make. But keep in mind, there is some action-packed sequences in the film. There's a great chase scene. There's all kinds of stuff I would like to implement into that movie. It has little tones of Point Break in it, but with a little more levity throughout. So that was always my idea for a movie. I also had another idea Someone said, Novasonic says Nightcrawler 2 is what he'll say. I would like to make a Nightcrawler 2. The other one I always had an idea for was a pizza driver movie, a pizza delivery driver movie. And I feel like this is the type of movie that you could probably make for like $2 million. And it would be, the best way I can describe it is, it would be The Big Lebowski, but for a new generation, and it would involve a pizza delivery driver. Huh? Did I sell you on that concept? I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one here. The movie guy says, "Hey, John, do you still have a collection of VHS tapes and a VCR?" No, I have neither. The only VHS tape I have is my friend Katie Video on Instagram, who makes custom VHS covers for old movies, retro movies, what have you. How about I just grab the thing? Hang on. I'll be right back. So I do have a VHS copy of Over the Top. I do have that. And I have this right here. It's a VHS copy of Nightcrawler. And the actual movie is on this tape, but I'll never know because I'm going to keep it sealed in the plastic. But there's even a yellow VHS cassette right here. So this is like the second VHS tape I own. So if you guys are interested in buying some of this stuff, check out Kadi, Kadi, on Instagram. Kadi Video. So, but it's awesome. I love the artwork on this thing. Just look at that. Look at that. This is a gift that you give yourself. So it's legit. All right, the next one comes from, and by the way, the movie guy, thank you for the question, man. Oh, also you said, I have a small collection. Today's Blu-ray and 4Ks are great, but I love that old grainy look movies used to have as well. Hey, man, I loved it when movies just had any kind of grain. And now everything's shot on digital. So it's not necessarily the format, it's just the technology that they make movies on. But I like when you have I love a movie that's shot on film where you get a good transfer of it on 4K and you can see the grain, you can see the warmth of the film that it was shot on. It has a heart and a pulse. I still love that shit. And don't get me wrong, I liked VHS, but I much preferred the upgrade to Blu-ray, and I'll tell you why. Because when it came to VHS, I love the artwork. I think there's nothing better than a VHS artwork because just the way it's shaped, it looks, it can stand up on its own. It's not all flimsy and thin. Like these things, when it comes to artwork, this is perfection when it comes to physical media. But let's not romanticize VHS too much. The tracking issues used to suck ass. You'd have a good movie, you want to watch it, but you get that copy from Blockbuster that was all worn out and beat to shit, and somebody didn't rewind it or something, and it had tracking issues, and then sometimes the tapes would get jammed in the VCR, so you had to take like a pencil and jam it in there and fucking get it out somehow. Let's not forget those things. All right. Bruce Cook says there's something about Mary Had a Pizza Driver. Yeah, but this is a better movie. It hyper focuses on the pizza driver. The pizza driver is the main character. But there's something else going on with the pizza driver. Okay, the next one comes from Jason once again, who says, John, I am really Superman. That's all this one says. Well, thanks, Jason. Thanks again, man. Thank you for the questions, Jason. They're very thought-provoking. Oh, we got a big one here from RM. And by the way, RM, I am sorry. I do not have my party poppers. Everyone who is very generous with their super chats, I usually have party poppers, but I keep forgetting to go to Walmart to buy them. But here it goes anyway. RM says, hey, John, would you kiss the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2 passionately to win $1 million for life? I'm going to give you the realest, most honest answer I possibly can to this question. And throughout the years, I've had many rants about how disgusting the pigeon lady is and the entire concept of the pigeon lady being covered in bird shit throughout the entirety of the movie. So to answer your question, I probably would kiss the pigeon lady for millions of dollars. I would do it. I really would. But here's what's going to happen immediately after that. I'm going to take that briefcase of money and hand it over to my family and say, hey, have a good life, enjoy. And then what I'm immediately going to do is jump into a vat of acid that's going to disintegrate and eat the flesh out of my body, because that's the only way I could ever feel clean again, is with boiling acid. So yes, I would do it, but I'm also going to have to sacrifice myself afterwards, because I could never live with the guilt nor the shame of doing such a thing. And there's just some things you can never wash away. So that's my answer for you. Juan Ortiz says, like 30 minutes or less. No, my pizza delivery driver movie is not like 30 minutes or less at all. You're thinking of a shitty comedy movie. No, I told you the vibe is The Big Lebowski. Okay, it's highbrow comedy. It's well acted with great characters. It's not slapstick comedy bullshit, okay? My pizza delivery driver movie is going to be something for the ages. It's going to be this generation's version of The Big Lebowski. I want to make a movie people remember and reference and quote for years to come. That's my pizza delivery driver movie. But it really pisses me off that the title 30 minutes or less is already taken. That really does anger me. All right. The next one comes from... But thanks for the question, RM. Thank you for that. Oh, we got one here from River Eastburn. How's it going, River Eastburn? How are you doing today? All right, here it goes. Hey, John. I recently bought the Switch 2 at Best Buy's midnight launch. It reminded me of the old late night flick trip videos, laugh out loud, good times. Anyway, I'm a huge Stranger Things fan and was wondering who your favorite characters are. Well, thank you for the question, and I hope you enjoy the shit out of that new Switch 2. Once again, I wanted to get one, but I feel like I'm too poor to justify it. But I do like me some old Nintendo games. Or not even old Nintendo games. I just like Nintendo games. The older I get, the more fun those remind me of my childhood. And that's the kind of games I want to play. I just want to escape reality and have some fun. And by have some fun, I mean, I don't know, play Mario Kart in my underwear. But anyway, man, when it comes to Stranger Things, I think Dustin's one of my favorite characters. Dustin and Steve would probably be my two favorite characters from Stranger Things. I do like Hopper quite a bit as well. But those are like my three favorite characters from the show. And by the way, I'll show you guys a picture of it. Let's see. John Flickinger, Stranger. I'm seeing oh my God. You know the beauty of doing YouTube so long? I can just Google any random shit I posted somewhere and I can find it on Google. It's like the only benefit. But anyway, a couple years ago, my wife and I dressed her up like a little boy. And we, I know it sounds weird, but it's true. And we did so that's my wife, Nikki, and that's her as Dustin. That's me as Steve. And yes, we even drove to train tracks on Halloween to take this picture. So she's little Dusty Buns and I'm Steve. Kind of a weird dynamic there. But anyway, so yeah, I quite enjoyed those characters. Yeah. So anyway, I said for next Halloween, you can be a girl. I made you a little boy this Halloween. Next year, you can be anything you want. And my first idea was I wanted to make her Garth from Wayne's World, and I could be Wayne. But hey. But she wants to be Jack and Rose from Titanic. And I'm like, that's boring. Plus, I don't want to die. But anyway, thanks for the question, River Eastburn, and enjoy the shit out of that Switch 2. Robert Giacinta says, John, going to tell that Galactus popcorn bucket So you're my number one fan, huh? Oh, that's great. That is great. Every night when I grab his magenta handles on his head, you're my number one fan, huh? Yes, indeed. I can't wait to buy that thing. I can't. That $80 overpriced piece of plastic that holds some popcorn in it. What has life become? But I gotta buy it so I can show you guys. I have to do it. Jason says, John, I love you. Hugs and kisses. Well, hugs and kisses right back to you, Jason. All over your body, wherever you want it. Can we go to the next question? Legendary has become a member. Yay! Thanks, Legendary. And I hope to see you around, man. Dustin Rich says, the world needs more great Dustins. Yes, it does. Dustin's the real OG of Stranger Things. He was always the most level-headed and got the most shit done with the least amount of drama. Bruce Cook says, how about Slice where werewolves kill pizza delivery guys? I never saw that. Novasonic says you can make yourself blue like you're frozen. Yeah, that's what. So if we do Jack and Rose from Titanic, that's what my wife wants to do, is make us blue like we're frozen. But for me, when it comes to Halloween costumes, I don't like wearing any extra makeup or anything that's uncomfortable. I just want to dress in an outfit that I could go to Walmart in and feel comfortable. Like, I want to be Forrest Gump. That was my Halloween costume idea. And I'm like, you can be Ginny. You can be hippie Ginny. You can be crack whore Ginny. You can be Ginny dying of hepatitis. Whatever Ginny you want to be, you can be. But I want to be Forrest Gump. I just want to wear my Bubba Gump shrimping hat and walk around and hand out candy to the kids in the neighborhood. Could you imagine if I handed them shrimp? All right, let's go to the next one here. The next one comes from Night King 01, who says, I half agree with the Hulk opinion. I think the second half of Hulk is fun, but you have to get through the first hour to get there, which is boring. Also, Josh Lucas's death scene is hilariously stupid, and those dream sequences are hilarious. Dude, I vaguely remember the Hulk. I don't remember his death scene either. So I don't have any comments on it. I just remember the comic book pages transitioning from scene to scene. I thought that was atrocious. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from the movie guy, who says, going to watch The Substance for the first time after your show. I've stayed away from spoilers for the most part. Should I be scared? I will just say this. Try not to eat anything meat related when you watch The Substance. Licorice is okay, popcorn is fine, but any meat-like products, don't do it when you watch The Substance. But get ready for a visceral experience. It's not for everybody, but it's for the right person. And that right person just might be you. So I quite enjoyed The Substance, and I hope you do too. So if you watch it and you like it, please join me next week and let me know how you enjoyed it, man. It's definitely it's a good time. It gets a little fucked up and bizarre by the third act, but hey, I'm okay with it. It's an unsettling, slightly disgusting film, but I loved watching Demi Moore in it. All right. And the pump it up scenes, oh gosh. Pumped me right up. So should you be scared? No, you should be excited. Jason says, John, if there was a real zombie apocalypse and somehow 110 billion humans that have ever lived came back as zombies, would you be the voice of human reason? I feel like I'd have to be. I feel like I'm a very logical person, and I like to play devil's advocate quite a bit. My favorite thing to do in every dramatic situation with a lot of heightened intensity is step back and look at it. And I'll give you some life advice right now. The best thing you can ever do in a chaotic situation is step back and try to find the humor in it. Try to find a sliver of humor in it. And I assure you, once you do that, ultimately, none of it really fucking matters. That's how I feel about it. But yes, I would. Yes, I would. No, actually, I lied to you. I'm going to go down to my bunker and eat cans of beans and sardines and watch VHS copies of movies on my VCR player down in my bunker. And with all that said, ultimately, I will become John Goodman in 10 Cloverfield Lane, where I just live in a bunker. I have board games. I have 25 VHS movies that I love and enjoy, and that's where I'm going to stay. I don't care about society. I don't care what happens. But if you want to come hang out with me down in my bunker, that's fine, but just know if you disrespect me, I'm going to put you in a vat of acid. All right, the next one comes from... Oh, Juan says, my wife could be Lieutenant Dan if I was Forrest Gump. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. That's actually a pretty good idea. Just have her in like a wheelchair and tell her to tuck her legs underneath and put a blanket over her lap and I can push her around. That'd be awesome. Bruce Cook says, dress like Avatar people in Edwardian garb, then you can be blue. I'd like to be an Avatar. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Night King 01 once again, who says, I feel like we've been talking for a long time. It's only been 2 hours. Okay. The next question comes from Night King 01, who says, I say this about Dunkirk. Not using CG went against the movie. They filmed at a real beach, but in the background the whole time there are modern buildings clear as day. This was a bombed out war zone and there were 40,000 soldiers, not 100. Yeah, you know the thing about Dunkirk I always found bizarre was they do say that there's like 40,000 soldiers on this beach. And every time you have that wide shot of the beach, it's like you see multiple lines of dudes lined up, but there's like 40 dudes in a line. And I'm like, how does this add up to 40,000? I don't comprehend it. So that was always questionable to me. And the thing is, it's like I get that Nolan doesn't want to use CG, but he does when he needs to. But this is a time when you need to. Or at least shoot it in a different way where you can have 500 extras that look like 40,000 dudes and not have an overhead shot where you see like 40 dudes standing on a beach. To me, that's a questionable decision. And yes, I'm questioning a master filmmaker like Nolan. Who's questioning him? Some dude wearing underwear and a Superman shirt talking shit about movies on YouTube at 12 o'clock at night. That's who's questioning Christopher Nolan, okay? But hey, I'm his demographic, so I feel like it's my place. All right. The movie guy says, great, I'm eating spaghetti. Oh, I could not imagine eating spaghetti and watching The Substance. But then again, that could be the ultimate test of willpower. Hey, have fun with that. Good luck. All right, the next one comes from... here we go. Hang on, I'm trying to catch up on the questions here. Okay, here we go. All right. The movie guy says James Cameron will work on anything except a sequel to Alita Battle Angel. Well, keep in mind, James Cameron was just a producer on that. For a long time, I think he wanted to direct Alita Battle Angel, but I think he was just a producer on the movie. So I don't know. When it comes to Alita Battle Angel, I thought it was fine. I think it was kind of cool. But ultimately, I didn't feel like it was that great of a story. I know some people love it. I have it on 4K, but that's one of those movies that I have not had that much of an urge to rewatch it. Jason says, John, if reality landed on top of life and sang a song about the end of endings without life of correction, what the fuck are you saying right now? Well, Jason, my answer to you is what goes up must come down, but what goes around doesn't always come back around. Claudia Rogajon says, the funny thing about Gamma Dogs in 2003, Hulk, is that it actually is from the comics, as goofy as it is. Also, the scene has two hilarious moments. The dog biting Hulk's nuts, and then Hulk taking the same dog and punching it in the nuts. Laugh out loud. I do vaguely remember that. I do remember him fighting the dogs, and one of them biting his nutsack. His big, jolly green nutsack. And yes, I did just say that. Well, heck, now I want to go watch the movie again. All right, Silvio, once again, has been a member for 23 glorious months. So thank you for that, Silvio. The next one comes from Libby Films, who says, I want a Les Grossman spinoff movie of Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder 2 with modern commentary on Hollywood. You know, I think that would actually do very well. Now, the biggest question you have to ask yourself about the potential possibility of Tropic Thunder 2 is, will Robert Downey Jr. reprise his role in full glory? And by full glory, will he come back with blackface once again? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And would Hollywood, in today's atmosphere, or today's climate, would they ever try to do that again? That's the question you have to ask yourself. But then again, if you can have a new white Black Panther, maybe Robert Downey Jr. can come back in Tropic Thunder. Who knows? Bruce Cook says the number of Dunkirk was 400,000 soldiers, not 40,000. Oh, sorry, I missed a zero. Yes, 400,000 soldiers. Yes, 400,000 soldiers on that beach, and it looks like there's 25. Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing when I saw the movie for the first time. I knew a little bit about the history of Dunkirk, but I was actually confused. I'm like, is this like a different day before the 400,000 soldiers show up? Or am I just not seeing the right angle? Because I'm not seeing 400,000 dudes on this beach. All right, the next one comes from the movie guy, once again, who says, Make Moolah in the chat says he's listening to you from the penitentiary and you get him through long days and nights. What? I have a convicted convict watching me from inside the belly of the beast right now? Mike Moolah, where you at, man? Mike Moolah's on lockdown. But thanks, Mike. Godspeed to you, man. I know they're probably not feeding you well in there, but hopefully your commissary days are keeping you going. And thanks for watching, man. I'll tell you one side of TikTok I watch a lot of, especially when I'm on the toilet, is I watch prison TikTok. And it's dudes in prison doing TikTok live streams. And it's like, nothing has made me happier not to be in prison than watching those live streams. I'll tell you that right now. Oh my gosh. But anyway, thanks for watching, man. All right. The next one comes from, and by the way, movie guy, thanks for letting me know that. I love when people tell me where they're watching from. Like, are you watching in your bedroom? Are you watching from the shower? Are you taking a crap right now? Are you mowing the grass? It's always so intriguing to know where people are actually watching this shit at. I love it. Jason says, dance off, bro. Me and you. Hey, I'm down anytime. Any song, any place, anytime. Kevy Rez says, are you going to watch Money in the Bank tomorrow? Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. My whole Saturday is mapped around watching Money in the Bank tomorrow night. I'm probably going to order some pizza, maybe some Wingstop. I'm feeling a little bit frisky. And when it comes to wings, Wingstop is my go-to place. Oh, and the seasoned fries are so good. So yeah, I'm going to watch Money in the Bank tomorrow. I'm probably going to try to make a quick review for Dangerous Animals because I do recommend the movie. I want people to know to watch this movie. And then I'm studying. I have another career opportunity, and I'm not leaving YouTube or anything like that. But it's something else I can do to sort of substitute the shortcomings of YouTube. So I've been studying for this other career path, which is taking a lot of my time. And by a lot of my time, I mean hours amongst hours every day. So that's my plan for tomorrow. Daniel Classman says, John, have you ever been Stuckmanized? I mean, technically yes, and technically no. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, I had a great joke for that. Yeah. Probably not in the way he'd like, you know. But yeah. Jason says, let's move on to the next topic. Jason says, a Fraggle walks into a bar and says, John doesn't know what I am. The bartender looks at the Fraggle and says, neither do I. Yeah, a Fraggle. It's a Muppet. Okay, I was just making sure Fraggle's not something else. There's a lot of terminology being thrown around these days, and anything can mean anything. And I'm not hip enough to keep up with it all. Bruce Cook says, are you still inspecting residential real estate? That's what I'm getting licensed to do. So it's happening at some point. Mike Cinema says, sorry I'm late. Please start the entire show over. We got time, man. We got time. We got plenty of questions left because I still have 29 minutes of questions left. Dustin Rich says, I'm watching your live show from the bottom of a well in a serial killer's basement. Not great cell service down here. Well, hey, at least they gave you a streaming device to watch my shit on, you know? Rather than call the cops, you'd rather watch a YouTube stream of a guy talking about movies. So I do appreciate that. I know Buffalo Bill is a big fan of my channel, so I do appreciate him for watching. John, please watch the new Weekend movie. It's amazing. You know what? I was going to watch the Weekend movie just to watch it and crap out a video to talk about how bad the movie was. But I'm at a point in my life where time is the most valuable commodity that there is. You can't buy it. You can't sell it. Once it's gone forever. And there's just a multitude of things I'd rather do, such as sitting Indian style on the floor and humming for hours on end, which I think would be much more enjoyable than watching the new Weekend movie. I like the Weekend. I like his music. I like listening to it, but I don't want to watch that bullshit movie. I don't think I could ever bring myself to do it. All right, the next one comes from someone said The Weeknd is arguably the worst movie of the year. See, now that's why I have to watch it, because I need to make a top 10 worst movies of the year list, and that's one of those movies you got to put in that list. So now I'm obligated to watch it. That's the biggest downfall of talking about movies on the internet. You have to watch some of the bad ones so you can put them in your top 10 list of the worst of the year. That's the worst thing. All right, the next one comes from Michael Savarino says, Jesus loves you, John. Love what you do. Never change. I will do my best. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. Jason says, what is the one question no one asked you tonight that you wanted to answer? You know, that's the thing. I've actually had a lot of deep internal thought when it comes to this. And the reason I like the live shows so much is because if you give me a blank canvas, my mind goes all over the place to the point where I just get debilitated and I get overwhelmed. But if you give me a topic, you give me a question, you give me a time and a place, my thought process is more reactionary. I've actually looked into the scientific research on this, all right? It all checks out. So I like the reactionary responses I can give you. I like when you guys come up with a topic, but I can just answer it. That's what I like. So there's not really a specific question I'm waiting on, but don't get me wrong. There's some questions to certain things that you guys ask, but you just don't ask them in the right way to get the best answer I can give you. Does that make any sense? Like I'm willing to answer anything you want. You just have to ask the right questions. So no, honestly, no. You know, we've talked about a lot of random shit tonight that I thought we would never talk about, but that's what I like about the live shows. We go places you never thought we'd go. We do things you never thought we'd do. And that's the beauty of it. Bruce Cook says, will Final Destination Bloodlines make the top 10 worst list? No, it wouldn't make the worst list. I gave the movie I think I gave it like a C+. I gave it my lowest positive to where it's a fine movie to watch just one time. But what rewatchability does the new Final Destination Bloodlines movie have, if any? What is it that you would ever want to go back and revisit about that movie? Oh, I like the scene where the family dies by the lawnmower in the backyard of all these characters I don't give a shit about. I don't remember any of their names or anything that they did, but they just randomly die in the backyard. It's like who wants to revisit that again? What is there to want to see about that again? That's the thing that's baffling to me about that. But hey, in the first movie, I quite enjoy watching everyone die in a plane. So there's that. So who am I to judge? Legendary says, will there be an after-hour show, John? Not tonight. No encore presentations. This is the after-hour show, and welcome. But somebody mentioned this a few minutes ago. I have a question for you guys, though. Going back earlier when I was talking about doing the new review style in the theater, it's a little less professional and a little more off the cuff. But do you like the more vloggy style reviews in the theater, or do you guys like the sit down reviews? What do you prefer? Be honest with me. I mean, sometimes when you do the sit down reviews that you can edit, you do get more time to formulate more thoughts on the movie after the fact, which is the one thing that you can't do when shooting it in the theater, but I don't know. I just find something so overwhelming about having to go see a movie and then having to come home, sit here, talk about the movie, and make it feel super authentic. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Nathan Jarrett says, depends on the movie. That's a good point, Nathan Jarrett. That is a good point. I think some movies deserve more of a discussion and some more thought, but other movies like Ballerina, why not just crap out a review after you see the movie? That is a good point. Jason says, John, what are two super geniuses playing out some kind of crazy hoax on the world? John, are we two super geniuses playing out some crazy hoax on the rest of the world? I truly think when it comes, here's my conspiracy theory. I think there's about 5 people who run the planet. And with the implement of technology and AI, that's only going to get easier to do. I mean, keep in mind, if you have there's only like 5 social media platforms that we all visit every day. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google search results, X, right? And there might be a few others. But if you can manipulate all those social media platforms, and TikTok, but if you can manipulate all those social media platforms with AI and dictate the thought process on what people like and dislike and filter all of that in a way that benefits you or whoever's controlling all of this, it's so easy. And AI is only going to make that easier. And here we are as the sheep just pumping more content into this system. But ultimately, we're all just mindless drones going where they tell us to go and paying the taxes they tell us to pay and doing the things they want us to do. What am I talking about right now? I don't know. But this is what happens when I talk for over 2 hours on the live stream. I start losing my mind. Let's keep talking about movies. Here we go. And the next one comes from... Jason, once again, who says, John, I've been secretly making lights blink and flash everywhere using my mind. Do you think I will go away with it? It sounds like Poltergeist to me, but it also sounds like you might be in the Upside Down. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. You're going to have to stay inside of the light bulb. The movie guy says, that was a Poltergeist reference, by the way. Mommy, help me. I'm stuck in the light bulb. All right. The movie guy says, speaking of 10 Cloverfield Lane, have you heard that a direct sequel to the original Cloverfield is in the works? I've got a soft spot for that terrible film, so I'm hyped for it. Yeah, the thing about the Cloverfield movies, it's like you could do anything you want and somehow justify it in these movies, and I get it. It's a concept that will never truly be answered because they want to keep making movies. But I liked 10 Cloverfield Lane because it took place in a bunker. And the only thing that was sort of the downside of it is you had aliens at the very end of the movie. But I liked that bunker situation. Give me more movies like that. As far as the Cloverfield movies go, I thought the first one was good, directed by Matt Reeves. But everything else outside of 10 Cloverfield Lane being the sequel, like Cloverfield Paradox, just sucked. I could live without another Cloverfield movie. I could. I wouldn't mind if they just did something else. But thanks for the question, the movie guy. And you have one more here, and it says, Con Air or Face Off? That's a great question. And where do I start with that? How much time do we have? I think Face Off is the more cinematic, well-directed film that has more flavor and style because it has a John Woo vibe. Also, let's not forget the performances by Nick Cage and John Travolta in that film cannot be topped. But Nicolas Cage does his best to try to do so. Playing a convicted convict, just trying to hitch a ride home. Now, Simon West, the best way I can describe his directing style of Con Air is it felt like Con Air wanted to be sort of like a Michael Bay movie without quite getting there. And I love me some Con Air. I really do. But I think ultimately, Face Off is the better movie that has the better performances in it. But man, Con Air it's close. It's close because you have Cyrus the Virus. Oh man, you have Johnny 23. You know why they call me Johnny 23? I love the characters in that movie. But I think I like Face Off just a little bit more. I have to go with Face Off. I want to take his face off. And plus the line, I could eat a peach for hours. How do you top that? Oh, and don't even... Oh, and oh my God. Dude, Con Air. That's the thing about Con Air is there's like 47, I wouldn't say likable, but charismatic characters in there. Like Steve Buscemi in the movie. He's got the whole world in his hands. Keep in mind, this is a man who ate people, and he's having a tea party with a little girl. That's brilliant. I wanted to look at it. I'm sorry. Yeah, this right here. That right there. You know what? Just talking about Con Air right now makes me want to watch it, but I'm still going to stick to my guns. I think Face Off is the better movie. But Con Air might be the easier movie to watch on a rainy day with a group of friends. I'll go with that. How's that? All right. What do you guys think? Which one's better, Con Air or Face Off? Bruce Cook says, how does Con Air compare to The Wicker Man? Well, Con Air is a watchable movie. The Wicker Man is diarrhea and defecation that you would accidentally step on when you go to the theater. Novasonic says, I agree with this. Episode 4 was amazing. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Sorry. Are we going to play Pick the Flick? No, probably not in this episode. I'll play a game of Pick the Flick in the next live show. How's that? On the next one. All right, Night King 01 back at it again says, I had a discussion earlier about people saying we need to go back to the action movies of the 1980s. I only say this, be careful, because the greatness of the 80s action is only 10 or 20 movies. The rest of the 80s are excess crap, funny but still crap. Oh, I agree with you, man. There are some iconic movies from the 1980s and 1990s that you could not replicate today, no matter how hard you try. But in between all those great movies, there is a lot of shit. Just like today, there's a lot of shit, but every once in a while, out of every 50 movies, you get one that's pretty good. But the thing about now is we get inundated with way more movies than we ever used to. And the entire industry is a bit different as well, but... And also, people can't take a joke anymore, so you can't make a good comedy movie that's rated R. But besides all of that, I agree with you. When you go back to the 80s, there's like 25 iconic movies, but then what do you have? So, but keep in mind, though, keep this in mind. Those 25 iconic movies still stand the test of time 40 years later. How many movies that have come out in the last 2 years do you think in 40 years anyone will talk about, reference, or go back and revisit? That's the question you have to ask. And I don't think it's a lot. Dip Pan Wan Chow Dirty has just subscribed, so thank you for that. Michael Flores says 8mm or Gone in 60 Seconds. I like 8mm more than Gone in 60 Seconds. I do. I like Gone in 60 Seconds. Angelina Jolie's lips have never looked more plump, but I like 8mm more. Have you seen Red Letter Media Have you seen Red Letter Media video about AI? I have not, but I will definitely check it out. Night King 01 says, have you ever heard of the movie Wake in Fright? It seems interesting as what I read is that it's an Australian outback film about a guy slowly descending into madness. There's a scene of actual kangaroo hunting in it. Same director as First Blood, 1971. What the hell is this movie? What is this called? Wake in Fright? Do they go kill a kangaroo? I don't know, man. I don't know about all this. Here's the movie. That's a goat? I thought it was a kangaroo. Sorry. I don't know, man. You watch it and let me know. All right, guys, I'm gonna answer the remaining questions. If you guys have any questions and you want to get them in right now, if you guys are YouTube members or have any other questions you guys want me to cover, please get them in the next like 60 seconds. But don't worry, we still got time. We got time. I still have a couple more questions, so get those in right now and we will talk all about them. All right, Movies for Life says, did you ever finish The Penguin? I started off like you for the first 3 episodes, but episode 4 hooked me and I never let go for the rest of it. I never did finish The Penguin. I know. Just something about it didn't look all that compelling. And I didn't like the way that it was shot. It just looked like a cheaper version of the way that they shot the Batman to me. And maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky, but I'm not that intrigued about the character of the Penguin. I'm just not. And his entire sidekick character, which I know the outcome of that didn't intrigue me enough to watch it. But maybe on one of these rainy days, I'll start watching it again. But it just feels like I already know how the final episode goes. So I don't know if I need to watch it to go on the journey. And so I don't know. You know, it's one of those things. I never say never, but I don't know if I have 9 hours to give that show. I'd much rather watch something else with it. But people like it, and I'm glad they enjoyed it. I just don't really hear a lot of people still talk about it or reference anything in particular when it comes to that show. I don't know. My question is, when it comes to shows like Penguin, where you compare it to something like The Sopranos, I feel like a lot of kids who watched The Penguin have never seen The Sopranos. And they're like, yeah, the Penguin's great. And I just want to like sit them down and say, hey, now watch The Sopranos and then compare it to the Penguin and tell me what you think about it in comparison. That's how my brain works. I compare everything to everything else. So sometimes when I shit on a movie that's similar to something else, that's why maybe I like that movie less, because I'm like, yeah, there's something better than that already exists. So Robert Vasquez says, I skipped a super chat. Which super chat, man? I don't see it. Hey, Robert, if you ask me a question, can you just ask it again in the normal chat, and I will make sure I get to it if you did, in fact, ask me a question. Please ask it in the normal chat if I missed it, man. I do not see it on here. So please ask it right now if you can. Okay. Here it goes. Robert Vasquez says, yo, bro. Love the channel. Going through a rough divorce currently. Any recommendations on movies to make me feel better? Love you, bro. I saw Warfare and loved it. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed Warfare. It might be in my top 10 of the year. I think it was a nice, simple, yet thrilling, depressing war movie that was super intense. So I was a big fan of Warfare. So movies that make you feel good. So for me, when I'm feeling down and out, and I talked about this earlier, and maybe you missed it. For me, my feel good movies, especially if you're going through a shitty divorce, and my empathy is with you, my good sir. Go watch some feel good 1980s movies. Go watch John Hughes movies. Go watch The Breakfast Club. Go watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That is my go-to movie. I have modeled my life after Ferris Bueller. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Go watch something like that. Or go watch Star Wars. Something with... You need escapism is what you need. You need to leave this galaxy. Go watch that. Danny says, go watch True Lies. There you go. Oh, man. Yeah, kind of a relationship movie. I don't know. Maybe that'll make you feel better. Dude, my favorite line in True Lies, and please don't cancel me. I'm just repeating what Bill Paxton says. Man, she got an ass like a 10-year-old boy. All right, let's go to the next question. I know, it's getting weird. It's getting super weird. GF Hostman says, watch Superbad. Hey, that's a great recommendation. Poop. Dustin Rich says, there's a tour in Detroit and the surrounding area of many of the shooting locations for It Follows. When are we going? That's interesting. I guess you're right. They did shoot It Follows in Detroit. That's why it has so much dilapidated scenery throughout that film. Oh, the super chat is from River Eastburn. Yeah, I'm answering. I'm going to get to it right now. I'm answering it right now. Here it goes. Okay, the next question comes from I have a slight speech impediment after I talk for 2.5 hours because my tongue starts going numb. River Eastburn asks, great costumes. Steve is my favorite character. The Switch is fucking awesome so far. Newer games are fun, but it's cool being able to play old childhood games too. Have you seen the 1-up Tron arcade machine? Do you plan to buy another? I have seen it. I'm not a big enough fan of the Tron game. And I like arcade cabinets that have a little more versatility to them and different games on them. So for me, I have Capcom versus Marvel 2 back there, and then I have the Street Fighter Yoga Flame Edition, which has like 15 more games on it. Now, I play these probably once a month for like 10 minutes. But hey, going back to feeling depressed and wanting some escapism, sometimes playing these arcade machines are like the cheapest form of therapy that you can obtain. You just sit down, it feels retro, it's a nice throwback, and it's so simple. There's, it's like you're not playing with people online screaming and trying too hard. There's not a lot of sweaties or sweats. What do they call people that try hard in video games? I don't know. But yeah, I like playing those every once in a while. But when it comes to the arcade one-up, here's the Tron cabinet right there. That looks pretty awesome. It does look pretty badass, I'm not going to lie. That joystick looks sexy, man. I could have some fun with that joystick. Look at that big blue joystick. Oh my god. Anyway, it does look really cool. I was not a fan of the Tron game, but if I had unlimited cash and funds and I had like a basement to put that in, I'd buy it. Yeah, I'd buy it just for the ambiance. All right, the next one here comes from the movie guy as well. Movie guy, man, thank you so much. Thanks to all of you guys so much for the questions tonight. The movie guy says, see you next Friday. 2 thumbs up. Well, hey, man, I'll see you next Friday as well. Don't you go dying on me now. So thanks for the question, movie guy. You're too generous. And next week, I will definitely have my party poppers ready to go. I want to pop off every time you guys give me a generous super chat. It's the least I can do. All right. We got one here from Claudia Rogajon once again, who says, Tom Cruise said that they are having serious discussions about bringing Les Grossman back. Could you imagine a solo movie with Les Grossman as the main character? Also, it would be nice to see Tom Cruise do a comedy again. I completely agree with you, and I think that's what Tom Cruise needs to be doing more of. The paychecks do not matter to Tom Cruise. Money is no object. This is just about having fun and having something to do. Because once you're a multi-millionaire that has a death wish and nothing left to accomplish in life, you got to have some fun. And I think that's what Tom Cruise needs. So yeah, I'd like him to come back as Les Grossman in a new Tropic Thunder movie. Why not? Michael Floor says, hey, John, I was curious. Have you seen the movie The Society of Snow? It's a retelling of Alive, but a whole lot better. Yes, I have. I've talked about this multiple times on the live shows. I loved Society of the Snow. I think that is probably my favorite Netflix movie ever made, though I don't think it's technically a Netflix movie, though I know it's a Netflix movie, but I think it was made by someone else and Netflix acquired the rights to it. But I love survival films. It's one of my favorite genres, and I wish we got more movies in that genre. But if you've never seen Society of the Snow, it's gripping. It's about the human element, and I do like the original movie Alive from the 1990s. I think that was a great movie, but I think Society of the Snow tops it and expands on a lot of things, especially some of the cannibalism stuff that they had to deal with. It's gripping shit. Definitely recommend checking it out. So if you need a good Netflix movie to watch Society of the Snow. Slightly depressing, but it's a great journey to go on. Jeff Hostman says you should definitely get Mortal Kombat. I wanted to get Mortal Kombat, but the Street Fighter cabinet, it had better games on it, so that's why I went with it. But I like Mortal Kombat more than Street Fighter. I do. I do like it more as a fighting game. Dustin Rich says, oh yeah. GF Hostman says, John, what equipment do you recommend that you use? Cameras, mixers, microphones? Okay, I'm going to make this the last question of the live show, so here it goes. I use a Sony a6400 as my main camera. I hooked that up with a Sony 4K Cam Link. I used to have a link down below in my description that I might have accidentally deleted. Yeah, I did accidentally delete it like a dumbass. Anyway, I hooked that up with a 4K Cam Link. What was your question? As far as like shooting my vlog style videos, I have another camera to do that, but I've been using my phone. I use my phone, and for my audio, when I use like a wireless mic, I use a DJI wireless microphone. This microphone right here is a Samson G-Track Pro mic. It's like $90 right now. I think it sounds pretty good. Now, I don't have an audio mixer. I think that's too complicated. That's too much of a mess, too many wires. I don't want to deal with all that shit. So for what I do is I just use a USB mic. I plug it in, and the software that I use for streaming is Streamlabs OBS, or Streamlabs Studio OBS, I think it is. That's what I use for my software. And then when I edit my videos, I use something called Power Director, Cyberlink Power Director. Now, it's sort of a third-rate editing software that most people would probably hate, but I like the simplicity of it because I've tried things like Final Cut and Adobe Premiere, and I think they're convoluted for the sake of being convoluted. If you want to edit a short film or do actual commercial work, absolutely, use those editing programs. But for what I do, simplicity is key. I don't need to take 14 steps to do the same thing I can do in 3 steps on another version of software. So, did I answer your question? I think I did. Yeah, I think I answered your question. At least I tried. I don't know. So, anyway, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this edition of the live show. But I do want to say thank you guys for hanging out, talking about movies, asking questions, and just looking at my stupid face for the last 2.5 hours. I do appreciate it more than you will ever know. And we got one last question from Better Call Maul, who says, Johnny, you're divorced? ? No, I'm not. No, somebody else got divorced, and I was just giving him movie recommendations. My wife is very happy. We're very happy. She's in the other room right now watching How I Met Your Mother. So we're happy. So anyway, GF Hostman says, yeah, Power Director is great. Thanks, John. Yeah, and it's kind of cheap. So I would recommend that. Though I will say the new version of Power Director kind of sucks ass. I have the older version, which I think is better and far superior. So anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. I'm going to go take a nap. Actually, I just lied to you. I'm going to eat some tacos, take a shower, and then watch SmackDown, and then lay in my bed on top of my heating pad. As always, have a great night. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you guys next week with a brand new live show. And also, if you missed it, definitely check out my Ballerina movie review over on the Flickpick channel. That link is down below. Take care, have a good night, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.